Rich.
Good evening. We'll call the June 27th, 2022 meeting of the Oxford Planning Board to order. First order of business is I need to read in addition to tonight's video recording on cable access, pursuant to the Massachusetts Open Meeting Law, and any person may make an audio or video recording this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Those making a recording must inform the chair. If possible, have individuals state their name, address for the record. All attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible.
He didn't give you anything in writing, did he?
No.
He should.
Yeah, it's not in writing.
All right, first item on the agenda is I will transfer the meeting over to the vice chairman for the A&R plans.
Okay, we have two A&Rs tonight. The first one dated 6/21/22 is for the applicant Hillcrest Worship Center Incorporated at 155 Leicester Street, Oxford, Mass. The surveyor Mark T. LaPrade Sr. of McClure Engineering. The property information is Assessors Map 02B, parcel A01 and 03, in an R2 zoning district. We have a completed submission, and everyone got to see what's going on. We're making two lots out of one.
Correct.
And you're just dividing the lot into another lot,
Correct.
basically?
Yeah.
Okay.
That second lot doesn't have a building on it or anything, right?
No,
It just has like a
It's pavement, yeah.
pavement parking lot.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, does anyone have any discussion on it?
No.
With the applicant?
Pretty straightforward.
Right, okay, wanna make a
Yeah,
motion?
I'll make a motion, we accept this as a
Plan not
plan, not
required
requiring subdivision rules and regulations.
approval.
Okay,
Approval.
thank you.
Yep. Hold
on,
on,
hold
hold
on.
on, hold on.
Sorry.
That's the motion.
That's the motion.
Seconded by Roger.
Yeah.
Yeah, hold on.
Further discussion? There being none? Call for a roll call vote.
I vote aye.
Vote aye.
Aye.
And I vote aye. Carried unanimously.
Aye, all set. Good luck.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a second A&R dated 6/17/2022 from DC Engineering. Property is 112 Old Webster Nominee Trust. Property information is Assessors Map 49, parcel B04.09 and B04.08 in an R2 district. The property location is lots 7 and 8 of Kathy's Way. It's a revision of a lot line between lots 7 and 8. And it's to maintain proper side yard setback, I
Correct.
take it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, you're just moving one of the property lines to conform with the...
Yeah, we were
With the plan, yeah.
15 inches off.
Really?
That's all it takes when you're that close, okay?
So you, change, okay. I'll make a motion, we approve this plan.
I'll second it.
Okay, seconded by Matthew. Okay, any further discussion? There being none, roll call.
I vote aye.
I vote aye.
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 And I vote aye, carried unanimously.
Thank you so
Take
much.
care.
Thank
See you
you.
later.
Yep.
I guess, Christine, you can take care of these after. You want me to
Yeah,
put
but
them
you
in
put
the
them in
back?
the back now, son.
All right, I'll turn it back over to our chairman, Greg.
Thank you, Rich. Next item on the agenda being 7 p.m., we have a public hearing for 221 Old Webster Road. Application for special permit. Applicant and owner is Stephen Esposito Jr. and Michelle Barch. Construction of an addition for in-law apartment. Our date for decision is September 25th. We have a public hearing notice. Pursuant to the provisions of the Oxford zoning bylaw, Chapter 3, subsection 3.9 apartments, accessory in-law, the planning board will hold a public hearing on Monday, June 27th, 2022 at 7 PM in the second floor meeting room of the Oxford Town Hall, 325 Main Street, Oxford, Mass. On a special permit application submitted by Stephen Esposito Jr. and Michelle Barch to allow for the construction and occupancy of an addition for use in an in-law apartment attached to the existing single-family dwelling on property located at 221, Old Webster Road, Oxford, Mass., in the R2 residential zone district owned by the applicant by deed recorded in the Worcester District Registry of Deeds, Book 14-367, page 269, is shown on Assessors Map 32, Parcel B 2.01. The application may be viewed at the Oxford Town Hall in the office of the town clerk or the Land Management Department. Anyone desiring to be heard on this matter should appear at that place, date, and time designated, or submit written comments before the date of the public hearing to the planning board at 325 Main Street, Oxford, Mass. 01540. See masspublicnotices.org for legal notice. Greg Holmberg, Chairman, Oxford Planning Board. Okay, so why don't you state your name or names?
I'm Steve Esposito Jr.
All right.
And Michael Barch.
Okay, do you want to just give us a quick synopsis of what you're doing?
Sure, we're gonna put on an in-law apartment for my dad on my sister's home. So basically, I think it's 780 square feet.
Right, so it falls under the 800. So it falls under the 800 square feet.
Yeah,
That's,
made sure we kinda
Yep.
kept it.
Yep, yeah.
Anything from Tony? Any comments from Tony?
Other than the build commissioner has reviewed the plan set two and would require approval from ZBA on this project as well.
Any comments from the board?
Looks good to me.
Good, yeah.
Any abutters or members of the public wish to comment on this? Excellent.
Close the public hearing.
Yeah, I'll make a motion, we close the public hearing.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion made by Jeff, seconded by Chris. Any other discussion? There being none, I'll call for the vote. I vote aye.
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 Aye. Carried unanimously.
I'll make a motion, we approve this plan, application for a special permit for accessory apartment on 221 Old Webster Road. The
Got a
date,
date on that?
date on it somewhere. Easier said than done.
4/27.
Dated 4/27/2022.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion to approve made by Jeff, seconded by Roger. Any discussion? Any more discussion? There being none, I'll call for the vote. I vote aye.
I vote aye.
I vote aye.
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 Carried unanimously.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Good luck, guys.
Okay, it being 7:05, we have a continued public hearing for 75 Depot Road, 0 Millbury Road, 0 Wellington Road, frontage on Depot Road, application for a special permit, site plan review and approval, applicant, owner Land Ventures, owner HRG Development Corp., and Kesmo Sand and Gravel Construction of light industrial distribution facility with associated parking, access drive, drainage, utility, and landscape improvements. The action date for this item is June 24th.
Sure.
That's what I meant.
Just a,
24th.
There you go. I thought you said June.
Tony, do you want to give us an update on where we?
Sure.
Anything's changed?
sure, so just to follow up, since the last time the board met on this project. We did receive a updated letter number 6, from our peer reviewer, TEC, letter number 6, dated June 8th, 2022. We also did receive a technical memo from our peer reviewer regarding the sound study, and that is dated June 21st, 2022. Our peer reviewer, HMMH. The peer reviewer is also here and is happy to provide an update on, or to provide you with some information regarding his review of the applicant's sound study. And then, as requested too, we did get a legal opinion as well from KP, as the board requested at that last meeting when we met on this project. I've also provided the board as well, although this is a repeat of documentation, but again, what the decision criteria is for special permit and site plan review, outlining under special permit 5.4, and that indeed the board must make a finding that the following conditions have been met: 5.41, 5.42. 5.41 relates to the site is appropriate location for the use or structure. 5.42, soils are suitable for on-site sewage disposal if public sewers are unavailable. 5.43, that there be adequate water supply can be provided. 5.44, that the use as developed will not adversely affect the neighborhood. And 5.45, there will be no nuisance or serious hazard to vehicles or pedestrians. Secondly, too, whereas this use being a wholesale distribution facility does require site plan review, and also the criteria for that. And I should say the criteria for special permit comes out of our Oxford zoning bylaw, pages 61 through 62, and following, and page 64 is a site plan review criteria. And the criteria for evaluation include access to each structure for fire and service equipment is provided. Utilities, drainage, erosion control are provided to maintain environmental quality. 4.3, in or abutting residential zoning districts and the village business zoning district, effective use is made of topography, landscaping, relationship of buildings to the environment, parking placement to maintain the character of the neighborhood. 4.4, parking and loading requirements of Chapter 11 have been met. 4.5, traffic impacts on abutting residential neighborhoods are acceptable, and the convenience and safety of vehicular and pedestrian movements in relation to adjacent streets and intersections are protected. And 4.6, all other requirements of the zoning bylaw have been satisfied. And 4.7, that the board may withhold approval until it is satisfied that all other relevant town boards and departments have approved the proposed infrastructure. And if the applicant has met the requirement of 4.0, the board shall not withhold its approval. Site plan review, simple majority. Special permit, supermajority. Also, again, did prepare, as back at the last meeting, some draft working conditions. Should the board look at an approval, there are some draft working conditions to go through. I will save that after if it's needed, but did want to provide you with these documents, again, as provided last time, just to be certain that you have it, and it's in your hands. So with that, Mr. Chairman, the peer review letter that we received from TEC Engineering, letter number 6, which is also posted online, I am happy to read through if you'd like the letter itself.
Please do.
And then for the sound study, I will defer to the consultant to provide his overview. But in absence of Kevin DeAndrade, who couldn't make it tonight, I would just like to read into the record TEC's peer review letter. So this letter is dated June 8th, 2022, and states, Dear Mr. Souza, I understand the planning board reviewed the offsite accommodations for Depot Road at the proposed site driveway intersection at its public hearing on May 23rd, 2022. I understand that one or more board members were interested in exploring the possibility of creating a three-way stop-controlled condition for the proposed four-way site driveway intersection. Further, I understand that there was a desire to provide a stop control for the left turn lane on Depot Road eastbound, while through traffic on Depot Road would retain a free-flow operation. I had previously opined that TEC did not support the introduction of an all-way stop condition, all four approaches, due to the potential of vehicles to queue toward or across the existing at-grade railroad crossing. I also reviewed the projected future year traffic volumes and do not expect the intersection to satisfy the warranting criteria for a traffic signal. He goes on, the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, MUTCD, and the Massachusetts amendments to the MUTCD provide standards and design guidance for traffic control and general traffic operations at all intersections within the public right-of-way and certain publicly accessible private roadway and driveway features. Although the MUTCD allows special placard signs for stop-controlled intersections that have one free-flowing approach, TEC does not recommend that the town pursue the requested traffic control option for a hybrid 3 out of the 4 approaches for the following reasons. So within his letter, he includes a total of 6 reasons here in his opinion. First bullet, a left turn lane should not have a different form or traffic control from the adjacent through lane unless it is channelized by an island with a considerable offset, which is not the case along Depot Road, per MUTCD section 2B.04. Second bullet reads, the MUTCD also specifically states that yield or stop signs should not be used for speed control. He references section 2B.04. Third bullet, the projected future year traffic volumes do not appear to meet the warranting threshold established in section 2B.07 of the MUTCD entitled Multi-Way Stop Applications. Fourth bullet, the retention of one fully free-flowing approach creates the potential for driver confusion and potentially unpredictable operations that may lead to a false sense of security for a vehicle operator departing one of the 3 stop sign controlled approaches while Depot Road westbound remains free flow. And the second to last bullet reads, the applicant's engineer shifted the driveway alignment to the west to provide additional lateral separation from the railroad crossing. There are no perceived sight distance obstructions or other unique safety characteristics as part of the latest geometric layout that would warrant a deviation from the MUTCD. And last, MassDOT may have concerns about the potential for vehicle queuing on Depot Road eastbound back toward I-395 northbound ramps intersection. In conclusion here, he says, I recommend that the planning board support the applicant's current off-site design alternative that considers stop sign control from the realigned approach on Depot Road northbound and the proposed driveway southbound approach to the newly created intersection. This creates a 2-way stop control similar to most other 4-way intersections. We have reviewed the driveway access considerations and suggested modifications to the plans with the Oxford Police and Fire Departments at a technical review committee meeting earlier in the project review process. There was general consensus on the applicant's currently proposed traffic control. The Department of Public Works and the Board of Selectmen will need to review the final design of the proposed improvements and the proposed traffic control and confirm the design's compliance with MUTCD and other state and federal standards. MassDOT will be performing a similar review as the applicant advances in the MEPA review process and the state highway access permit process with MassDOT's District 3 office. And he signs off. Do not hesitate to contact him directly if any questions or need any follow-up guidance. Thank you for your consideration. Signed, Kevin D. Andrade, PEPTOE, our peer reviewer from TEC. So again, that was received on June 8th. The technical memorandum from HMMH.
Before you start, in case nobody knows, anybody doesn't know, at the last meeting, there were concerns that the board brought up, well, I can't remember who, but about the sound study. The applicant had their sound study engineer. We decided to get our own. So through Tony, for the board, through Tony, hired a HMMH to do a sound study. He did the report. The gentleman is here who did the study. And go ahead, Tony.
Sure. And so We received the technical memorandum dated June 21st, 2022. We also posted this online as well. And I'll turn to Chris. Yep.
I had expected that,
You could just say your name.
oh, yeah. My name is Chris Menge. I'm with HMMH, or Harris Miller Miller and Hanson. We are based in Burlington, Mass. That's our headquarters. I have almost 50 years of experience in doing sound studies for communities. I'm partially retired, but not completely. And these I've done many peer review studies for industrial projects like this one for communities throughout Massachusetts. It's quite a bit of work in Charlton, by the way. So I'm doing this for a number of years.
Can you just lift the microphone
Up a little bit.
Is it on? You can hear it?
Now it is.
Oh.
Now it is.
Okay.
Okay. I'm wondering, Tony, did you happen to bring the report in PDF form that Mr. Wallace prepared for the developer?
So if you give me a moment, we can
Still can't hear?
pull it up online.
Yeah, we
What do you-
we do have the figures in our presentation that I think we just gave.
I had expected that Mr. Wallace would be here to present his study, and I didn't really come completely prepared to present an overview of it. Now, if you heard from him, if you already heard from him, and he gave you an overview of the sound study, or you have a good understanding of it, then I don't need to cover any of that. But if any of you would like a brief synopsis of what was done, I could do that as well. I just thought it might be helpful to have his report.
Through the chair. I appreciate your study, and it actually reinforced the applicant's study. They were both pretty much online.
Yeah.
Okay. As far as the reports go and the science behind it, it appears to be consistent.
Yeah.
This is the first time as a board we've ever had sound, and for good reason, by the way, with lots of trucks, and my problem is backup alarms, okay? The applicant wants to have a 24/7 operation going on here with trucks backing up all the time, and
Rich, why don't we let him make his presentation?
Yeah.
And then we'll all talk about it after.
Well, I was trying to get an understanding. It sounds like you have been introduced to the previous to the sound study that Tech Environmental did.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't need to cover that. I'll give you a brief summary of what I found when I reviewed his report. I found that while I ended up with a slight difference of opinion on how to establish the quietest background ambient that is required by Mass DEP, against which to compare the sounds from the facility, I only ended up with a difference of about 1 decibel. So I concluded at a 35 decibel background, which is appropriate, I think, for the Millbury Street community in the middle of the night. We're talking, midnight to 4 a.m. And that's what Mass DEP likes to see for a 24-hour operation. Are you going to get a 10 decibel increase in the background, that quiet background? Now, you probably understand that the quiet background, that 35 is the sound level that is exceeded 90% of the time in an hour. So it is the quietest periods of an hour, the quietest 6 minutes.
And is that based on the foliage and the trees and stuff like that also, or like in the wintertime when there is no foliage on the trees? How does that come into play?
The foliage effect is a little bit minor. People often think of it as important, and I think the reason is because it tends to affect the high frequency sounds, the really the high sounds a little bit more. And as it turns out, most of the noise generated by trucks is lower frequency sound. And that sound is not really affected by foliage very much at all.
So is it more absorbing the foliage or less absorbing? Because I'm talking specifically about backup alarms and stuff like that, because I would think those would be higher frequency sounds.
They're sort of middle frequency. I don't know that the foliage will have a big effect. It will have a small effect on them, probably reduce them by maybe 5 decibels throughout the forest that's between the facility and the homes, compared to what they would be otherwise. So that's that's a help in the summer when windows are open and people are sleeping. But I did a comparison. I looked at Tony had suggested I might get questions about the backup alarms, and I did an evaluation of it, and I think that they probably won't be audible during the daytime hours because there's enough other sound in the community. But in the middle of the night, you might hear them sometimes. There's overall there's going to be a fair amount of noise from the trucking activity as well, and I don't think the backup alarms will stick out as much as you might imagine that they would, because it's 1,100 feet away from the nearest homes. It's a good distance. So that was my evaluation on that. I do think that the increases in sound level are going to be the greatest at a couple of the homes, 79 Millbury Street, nearer Depot Road, where the truck driveway comes a little bit closer to the homes. And I think that's where the trucking activity gets a little closer, and therefore expect slightly larger increases in a couple of the homes in that area. Down in the area opposite the facility itself, there will be increases in sound levels that are in the maybe 6 decibel range, not as quite as high as 8 at 79 Depot Road, in the middle of the night in the quietest periods. So that's an audible increase. You can definitely hear it. It's not twice as loud, but it's noticeable. The Mass DEP sets a maximum of 10, and that's because the 10 decibel increase would be heard as about twice as loud as the original sound. I think the good part about it, if there is one, is that the character of the sound is going to be fairly similar to the background highway sound with trucks and cars going by, because it's automotive transportation sound. It's not a completely different kind of sound, so it'll blend in a little bit. And the other thing that I mentioned in the report, sort of as a way of trying to understand the relationship of the noise from the facility to the background noise, which is mostly from 395, is that the facility and the highway are located very near each other. And so when you have atmospheric conditions that tend to increase noise, like a wind from the west would tend to do that, it will increase both of them proportionally. So you won't be likely to have a situation where you have extra quiet highway noise and extra loud facility noise. They're going to, I think, tend to go up and down together because of the atmospheric effects affecting it one way or the other. You have winds from the east, it'll reduce the sounds from both activities, the highway and the facility, is a conclusion that I drew. As I said, it'll be somewhat audible in the quietest periods of night, I think, at some of the closer homes. The intermittent sources, like the backup alarms and the truck idling, will contribut somewhat, but I don't think it's going to stand out particularly compared with the trucking activity. There's a lot of trucking base there, and there's going to be trucks going back and forth a fair amount of the time. So I think that's going to be the predominant source of sound for the homes that are nearest the facility, as well as the ones that are down by Depot Road. But again, I think what I've found over the 50 years, I keep saying that, it's not quite next month, of doing this kind of work. And the Mass DEP 10 decibel increase noise regulation went into effect in 1973, almost 50 years ago. And they have reviewed it a number of times, and they have not changed it. And I think it's because it works really well. When there are places where sound level increases are greater than 10, they tend to get complaints, and the DEP comes in and tries to get some improvements made. But if the levels are below that, if the increases in existing levels are below that, generally people find it reasonably acceptable. And as I said, particularly if the character of the sound isn't a lot different. Sometimes, for example, if you have a situation where you have a fan, a big machine that makes a lot of tonal sound, and it's very different in character from what the background is, then it really stands out. But when the character of the sound is similar, like highway noise and trucks, then I think that it will tend to not be quite so, obvious, let's say. Any other questions?
So I have a couple questions.
Sure.
So in the report, so two things, one thing that you mentioned is that, so now with the distribution center, so there's gonna be additional noise that the residents would be hearing because
Right.
the trucks and everything, all right now, they're just hearing the highway.
Yep.
Right, so you're saying that's kinda gonna be like double the noise because you're
Almost.
you're
Yep.
gonna have the distribution facility, which they don't have right now.
Correct.
And then, I was kind of reviewing this with Tony the other day. So you went out to the site at night.
No, that wasn't me.
That wasn't you.
No, that was,
So I thought that
So-
was you.
Sure. So, it's Kevin Soley for the record. After the last hearing, when we discussed the need for the peer review, we had a consultation with Mark Wallace at Tech Environmental. Tech Environmental actually went out and did a week of continuous monitoring to better determine exact ambient noise readings, and provided additional analysis to the peer reviewer's benefit, based on some initial conversations. So that additional analysis was conducted by Tech Environmental, provided to the peer reviewer, to which they then reviewed and essentially concurred with the conclusions.
yeah, I had received an initial report from them that was I guess an early draft, and it, or maybe it's a report that you saw, I don't know.
Yes.
Okay, but it didn't include the long-term measurements and the short-term measurements. It included assumptions about what the sound levels are currently based on the highway traffic noise.
That's correct. And just so the initial study was done based on assumptions, based on the surrounding areas. So to ensure that there wasn't any questions regarding those assumptions, Tech Environmental did continuous baseline monitoring and readings out there, which actually essentially confirmed that the assumptions were correct. I think they were within possible one dBA.
Yeah, it was quite close.
Because it says on here, the short-term measurements at the nearest homes were conducted on the night of June 6th and 7th. So that was people that you hired.
Yes, that was Tech Environmental on behalf of the applicant.
Okay. And then noted in that, it mentions that the nighttime L90 at the short-term sites at 79 Millbury Road and 84 Millbury Road was 35 decibels, right?
Right.
On that night. At the long-term site, on the same night, the lowest hourly L90 measured was 43 dBA, which was 7 decibels higher than the lowest sound. So can you just explain, and it says undoubtedly due to the wind direction that night. So like you mentioned, based upon the weather conditions, it could affect the sound more or less
Right.
based upon that.
Yeah, the sound is affected by that, and Mr. Wallace did one long-term measurement, and you can see in that data, you can see a fluctuation of the nighttime sound levels. He's also got information on the wind, but it's pretty clear that, in all my experience, at a distance of a couple thousand feet from a highway, and if you live anywhere near a highway, you've experienced this yourselves, that on some nights it'll be relatively quiet, on other nights it sounds like it's in your backyard. And it all has to do with the atmospheric conditions. If the wind's slightly blowing, sometimes you get a temperature inversion on a night, let's say after a warm summer day, it'll be calm, but the temperature inversion will allow the sound to just travel an arced path instead of going off into the upper atmosphere. It won't travel a straight line, it'll come down. And that, just like it does with the wind, it bends downward, and that sort of gets over some of the trees and over the ground and increases the sound level compared to what it would be otherwise. So, while that night I think the winds were probably from the west.
What it says.
The sound level of 35 is probably not the lowest it would ever get on Millbury Road, because on nights when the wind was from the other direction, it would probably be lower. On the other hand, as I mentioned earlier in my presentation, the facility is located right near the highway. So the facility noise is going to be affected in the same way. And so when the sound levels of the and what I mentioned in my report here is that Mr. Wallace used a worst-case sound propagation model for the facility, which assumes a moderate downwind condition. So his modeling says that the sound level from the facility would be 42, I believe, at 79 Millbury Road, and that, I think that's consistent. That 7 decibel increase is consistent with what, or is it, did I get 43? The 8 decibel increase is consistent with a similar weather pattern for the same night. If indeed, the wind were blowing in the other direction, they might, both sources would probably be lower by about 7 or 8 decibels, but proportionally the same. So that's why I think that even though there was some differences from night to night in the way this study was done, I feel comfortable that that the sound level increases are not very unlikely to go above 10 at this location.
Any other questions? Can I just clarify one thing that Chris said to Mr. Soley, that you hired somebody to do work you did not hire? He was through the town.
No, so there were two components. So the initial study submitted by the applicant, prepared by Tech Environmental, created assumptions for the baseline monitoring. After the last hearing, when the town said they wanted to do a peer review, we wanted to make sure that as part of that peer review process, there were no questions regarding the assumptions. So we wanted to confirm those assumptions by doing the continuous monitoring. So from June 2nd to June 9th, we went out to the site, Tech Environmental went to the site and conducted continuous monitoring of the noise source, the background level on site, and then noise sources for surrounding properties. That was compiled into an updated report, which was then reviewed by the town's peer review consultant.
Okay.
But we don't have a copy of that report.
We do. Yes, Tech Environmental submitted that to the peer review consultant through the town on, I think,
Do we have that, Tony?
June 17th.
I don't think we received it. I agree with you. I don't think we
I
received
don't have
that.
a copy of it myself.
Okay.
But we do have the
It's
peer
on,
reviewers
yeah.
report who
Yeah.
reviewed that report, to be clear.
This thing will be that report.
That's all I can say about that.
It was submitted through the town. That's how the peer review consultant
Yeah.
received it. So it was submitted again on.
I just wasn't sure if you went out and did this yourself, or if that's what I wanted to clarify. So you hired, and then you looked at his report.
That's correct.
Okay.
I had made some comments on his first report, and
And that was one of them?
Yeah.
Kind of, the fact that he made assumptions? Okay.
yes.
And to be clear, they used their consultant, I believe. It was the same consultant that did the sound study. Correct. That you brought back on board to do the on-site study. Which some would say probably should have been done in the beginning.
Yep.
And then through peer review, we brought on board the town, HMMH, as our third-party reviewer, just like we brought on TEC and so on.
Well, I would just recommend that we get a copy of your updated report, eliminating the assumptions and that.
Yeah, again,
Yeah.
it
Well-
was submitted, but yeah, we'll certainly provide
Sure.
additional hard copies,
Yeah,
of course.
thank you.
Yep.
Any other, yes.
Could you give some other real-world examples of how loud is something that's 35 dB versus something that's 43 dB, which I think was the number in the report?
Sure.
I mean, I know there's various charts and things. We can all look them up. I kind of just did. I just wanted to make everyone aware.
Well, maybe one way to think about it is I mean, a quiet bedroom at night might be thought of as somewhere around 30 or 35 in that range. As it gets a rural community outdoors at night without crickets might be in the range of high 30s to mid 40s. As you get into the suburbs, it's going to be a little higher, maybe another 5 decibels higher than that, in sort of a background quiet time at night. Urban areas, downtown Boston's going to be, if you don't have any buses or trucks driving by you, it's going to be probably 60. me talking to you, you're hearing my voice at around 65 to 70. So that's a rough idea.
So that's helpful. So it's not a vast difference, because it is scary, and I know technically, when you said a 10 decibel jump roughly doubles the volume of things, but the level we're at, the doubling is not a vast difference.
Yeah.
Is that
would be a fair
accurate
way to
statement?
describe it. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, human perception, you ask people, how much louder is this? You play them 5 decibels, you play them 10 decibels, you play them 15. And 9 or 10 people say, oh, it's about twice as loud, but it's a very judgmental thing. In a community setting, what we find is that an increase of less than about 3 generally isn't perceived at all, especially if the character of the sound is the same. People just don't hear it. And actually 3 is fairly significant. It's actually a doubling of traffic volume, for example, will give you a 3 decibel increase. But people tend not to really notice something like that if it's in the distance, in terms of just the sound levels. 5 decibel increase, the community will generally notice an increase like that or a decrease. They'll say, yeah, it's a little quieter in general, maybe due to some change in the atmosphere or a change in the environment that removes a noise source or adds a noise source. As I said, 20 decibels would be quite noticeable, and people might think, wow, that's a lot louder. It's really very noticeable. But 10...
So it would be fair to say that 10 decibels then be a noticeable difference, but not a stark difference. It wouldn't
Not
be.
stark, yes, I would agree, yeah.
Okay.
Mhm. Noticeable, yeah.
And just the question, do you believe that's why the DEP noise ordinance is structured the way that it is, to establish that 10 decibel level as something to be measured against?
Yeah, I believe that it has worked very well over the years. I've been on many studies where done to myself and reviewed many where we found that if the increase is more than 10, people tend to complain. The increase is less than 10, they tend not to so much. Now, we always have your very sensitive people who will complain at smaller increases, and people who don't notice it if it gets a lot louder because they have kids and they're really busy. So it all depends on the individuals, but in a community setting, if you think about a group of people,
Thank you.
that's the reaction.
That's
Yeah.
helpful.
Uh-huh.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, so I want to do things a little bit different than we've done. I want to try to focus. So thank you very much, Chris, for your
Welcome.
report, and I appreciate Chris, right?
Yes.
Oh, good, I remember. Thank you very much for doing it and doing it so quickly.
Sure.
Does anybody in the audience would like to ask Chris a question only related to the sound study? All right. So do you mind just standing on the side, and why don't you come on up? This gentleman right here, sorry. Just say your name and your address, and then
Dennis Natoli, 90 Millbury Road and 370 South Street. First, I just want to be clear. You didn't order your own sound study. The town only ordered a peer review. Because I think at the last meeting, you wanted a sound study. But I guess you're just reviewing his calculations from their engineer who did their sound. So the town itself doesn't have its own sound study.
Well, I did calculations on my own to confirm some of the results that he got. He put in his new report, he put in a lot of information about the source strengths. So I was able to use that to make some calculations to see if his results made sense.
So we didn't actually get additional data from a different study. Okay. I thought that was being ordered, but I think when you order a sound study, difference between a peer review of a sound study or ordering your own sound study, you might get different data to be reviewed. Right? Okay. When the sound study was done, say for the extra noise, say from a truck, did it give you a dB level of that truck as compared to what it would increase from the ambient sound?
Yes, yes, that's in the report.
Okay.
The truck noise.
So what the ambient you say was 35 dB, depending on weather, temperature, naturally. And so what did tractor trailer diesel engine add decibel-wise to that?
Well, if you look at all of the trucks together, and all I did was I looked at the, the community locations, the home addresses, because he had put in his updated report, he had put data on those addresses. And so if we add, now one thing, what he did do in his study was he included all the trucking activity, that deliveries and driveway activity, in the same group as the rooftop units. We call that continuous noise. But I can tell you from the calculations that I did that the bulk of the noise is the trucking activity. The rooftop units are considerably quieter. So it's the trucking activity that is the predominant source of the noise in the community, or will be.
Can you hold on? I'm sorry. Tony, can we borrow your microphone? Sure.
This is not working?
No,
Oh.
I just want to make
Oh,
sure
I
it
see.
can be heard.
Musical mics.
Whichever is fine. So, in the community locations, in a table 5 in his updated report, he talks about the all continuous sound sources and what the sound levels would be at those homes. And they range from about 37 up to 42. And that's as compared with, let's say, a 35 background.
Okay, in your professional opinion, what's the dB level of a idling diesel engine? Would it be 50? Would it be?
Where? That's the question.
Okay,
50 feet away or 1,100 feet away?
wherever you're taking the measurement. Say if you're taking the measurement 100 feet away, and the dB rating is 50,
It's going to be more like
or higher, I'd say.
75.
Okay,
Yeah.
75 from a diesel engine, one diesel engine. Now, of course, if you have two, you're doubling, and then I think the calculations go double, double. So if you have two, you really increase 3 dB.
That's right.
If you double to 4, you go up to 5 dB.
Or-
Correct? And
or
if you
6,
Double again,
yeah.
or 6, sorry, Mike, 6. You double again, you're going up to 8.
12?
Correct. So now your dB level, right, with just 8 trucks, is 10. It's approaching that 10%, which is perceivable as double volume to the human ear.
Well, if you were standing 100 feet away from those trucks and you added those, that's correct. Uh-huh.
Okay. So we have 124 bays. To think that there would only be 8, 10, maybe 20. So if you were to go to where, say, where you're 20 times dB, 20 dB now to the human ear is 4 times, correct?
Yes?
So at 20 trucks.
No, yes, 4 times, that's right.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah, at 20 trucks, now your decibel level to the human ear is 4 times as loud. So if there were only like 12 bays, then we're dealing with a little bit of numbers. But we're dealing with over 100 bays of trucks. And to think that only so many are going to be idling or moving. So each one is going to add, even though, again, you're using a double factor, so, 2, 4, 8.
Well, but they're 1,100 feet away from the nearest homes.
Right,
So
but I'm just going
differences.
right from where you took the calculation. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to double no matter where. If it's further and it's lower dB, that same calculation should correspond, correct?
But I did the calculations, and I think that what he has done in his modeling is correct. Based on, yes, you have a lot of trucks, but on the other hand, you're 1,100 feet away, so the sound level drops off very fast. It drops off every 6 decibels every doubling, or 8 decibels every doubling of distance, right?
And then I guess another thing, as far as the backup, I think it was like, you said it was almost like, inconsequential. I mean, the backup, from what I've read, anywhere from 90 to 110 dB for a backup beeper. They're pretty loud.
That's-
you can hear them a good distance.
That's a sound power level.
Right.
And what a sound power level is the inherent total energy of a sound source. And we can convert the sound power level to a sound pressure level, or something that you would actually hear physically, but it's going to be much lower. It all depends on distance and how far away it is.
Right, but I mean, Did you do they test a dB level at that point, at
They-
that height?
What he did was he used a sound power level for a backup alarm of 107 decibels. 100 and,
107.
yes, 107 dB for the sound power level of the backup alarms. And I took that number and I converted it to distance at 1,100 feet, and I got a number that was, let me look it up. I wrote it down this afternoon as I was preparing for this meeting. It would be around 40 dB at 1,100 feet. So that's
And that could change this the way, right?
that's assuming
Westward?
no enhancement or no reduction associated with wind. So it assumes only a 5 decibel decrease due to vegetation. So otherwise it would be 45. And I think that we would get about 5 decibels from the vegetation, as I've said earlier. So I think we would get a sound level around 40 just from the backup alarm. And, at those homes, the sound level, rest of this noise from the facility is going to be in the range of, 39, 38. So that's why I said you might hear it because it's got a little bit of tonal quality to it, but it wouldn't qualify as a pure tone condition by Mass DEP's requirements or criteria, because it doesn't increase the overall tone level and become a prominent tone from the overall sound.
What effect would the building itself have now if the sound is down between a hard space, any kind of boundary that's happening or reflecting off the building and concrete? How does that affect the sound?
Well, it would reflect sound, and that's incorporated in the modeling. They use
That's
a
incorporated as well? Where would that be incorporated in?
inside the model, in the CADNA model that he used to calculate the noise. It would both incorporate reflections from the building facade and also the shielding from the bays that are on the opposite side of the building from the homes. So you get this strong barrier effect to reduce the levels from that. But there is some reflection from the building surface.
So what would be the dB level then, say they took it without that, say, the boundary effect? And what did it come up that it's going to add? What are we up to? I mean, it sounds like everything's just 35 dB. Is there an effect? Increase?
It could increase it by up to about 3 if it gets reflected. Yes.
And again, all that's gets cycled in with how many trucks, again, using the doubling effect?
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, the potential for this is to be pretty disturbing to the neighborhood. I mean, it almost sounds like, when you say 35 dB, it's your quiet bedroom. I mean, if there's a diesel truck outside, you're going to hear it pretty far away. I hear it from the highway,
Yeah.
especially Jake brakes, and to think that this is not going to be disturbing to the neighborhood did you come up with that conclusion, that it's not going to disturb the neighborhood?
Well, I concluded that it would be noticeable, particularly at the quietest times of night where the background is. So if you're having trouble sleeping, you might be better off closing your windows under those circumstances
So people
during
have
the
to-
summer. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
So people have to keep their windows closed in order to get a night's sleep.
I don't think it's going to be dramatically disturbing. It will be noticeable on the quietest nights, but not exceeding Mass DEP criteria.
Yeah, well, that's Mass DEP criteria. I mean,
Thank you, sir.
okay.
Appreciate it. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Chris. My name is Anna Marie Feldman. I live on Shady Lane. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay, so maybe I don't understand this, but could you explain
Can
that?
stand
I'm
up?
sorry. Thank you.
Do me a favor.
Look there.
Dan, don't turn
Okay.
around. Look right this way. Thank you.
Okay. That the study was done based on where the building's located, correct?
Proposed building, yes.
Okay, so all these tractor trailers are coming on 395, north and south, coming and going, and we have 600 cars per shift, and there's two shifts. and those are roads in the highway going back and forth. I live something like, and I wrote it down. I live 0.8 miles from the distribution center. I am 444 feet from Depot Road and Old Worcester Road. They're predicting that there's going to be, he said 7%. What if there's 10 or 20% of tractor trailers and cars going on that road to get to Route 20 or downtown Oxford? So I'm not even included. Claire Barton School is, if the tractor trailers, say if it's 10%, that's 27 times 2 for 2 shifts, not including all the cars that are going to be going by Claire Barton School, which is 239 feet from Depot Road, where they're going to be hearing these, something like 60 tractor trailers every day going back and forth. So my question I have, sir.
You think 60 tractor trailers are going to go down Depot Road?
Well, it says 7% on his plan, and I'm saying 10%. It could be even higher.
Okay.
Who's going to stop them?
I'd be curious. Oh, go ahead.
It's on their it's on his information. Yeah. So I guess what I'm wondering is, even though they did this study based on the distribution center itself, right, which I'm 0.8 miles from, that all the traffic coming and going, the employees, the tractor trailers, it's not taking into account all the neighborhoods. Even across from Depot Road, you've got all those neighborhoods weaving in and out. There's going to be an increase in sound. There has to be. And for what I have here is, it's 7%. And I also had some information on the sound. So what I have for rooftop equipment, you had as fairly low, I believe. And I have an 89 here. And this is from a source that I got on the internet about sound studies. It says truck traffic is 106 decibels. Electric yard work is 65. Truck backup alarms is 107. So if you compound all these,
Those are sound power levels.
yes. So if you count, oh, okay, sorry. So if you
So they're not
compound
as
all
heard
this,
at a distance.
okay. But if they're passing by neighborhoods, and they're not just at the distribution center, which is over here, they have this driveway, then they get onto Depot Road, and they may or may not go north or south on 395, and they also might go straight. So it's impacting more than just Millbury Road. And that's what I would like to have explored if we do our own sound study.
Well, if,
I may, just one point of clarification. I wanted to point to the traffic study prepared and the trip generation for the trucks. Vehicles are only expected to come on and off of 395. We're not putting 7% near the school. I'm not sure which.
Yeah.
But I pulled up the trip distribution for the trucks on here, and we're just coming on and off of 395 and then into the side driveway. And then just to further help support your position, I wanted to point to the power levels from the noise study to show the dBA levels that were plugged into the model for the various noise sources.
if you would scroll one way or the other on this to the noise contour map, forget where it is.
That's in the PowerPoint presentation.
It's in this report. If this is the noise study report, it's in this.
This is the March study.
Oh,
It's not the June 17th
oh,
study.
okay.
But I do have that.
So I was going to show that the updated noise study included a noise contour.
Pass this around to the
Excuse me.
commission.
Noise contour map that
Thank you.
if let me take a quick look while you're looking at it, and I can show the young lady here. It shows the noise contours, and this is the 40 decibel contour, this orange one, and you can see how it comes close to the homes, and that's because this is where the driveway goes. It goes along like this.
Yep.
So what I'm saying here is that the increased noise associated with the driveway and the trucking activity on the property is accounted for in the noise study, as you can see by the contour moving out, the 40 dB moving out closer to the home.
But there's homes here, there's homes here, there's a school here, and then you've got all these houses up here.
Okay.
And if you have that many tractor trailers and cars, because I don't think it included cars in the sound study. I mean, it's just, I'm talking sound. To me, it's just a lot of sound and noise. And I'm particularly concerned about the Clara Barton School. But I kind of hope that we could do an actual sound study. And we really do have to throw in Depot Road and Worcester Road as far as traffic, because they are going to have traffic, increased traffic.
We're only going to talk about sound right now.
I know, but that's part of this.
I think
It
might,
wasn't included in there.
I think it might be fair for me to say that over the years I've done, I don't know how many peer reviews, but probably 20 of proposed facilities of different types, and really probably 10 in the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I've reviewed studies done by several consultants in the Boston area, Tech Environmental being one of them. And what I've found is that pretty much to a one, once the study is as comprehensive as I would like to see it, which sometimes I will, as I did this time, come back to the consultant and say, you know what, I'd like to see a little more documentation in this area and that area, because this would help me in the quality of my review, to be able to really know what you did in the details. And so I asked for the contour map, and I asked for the additional measurements and things. They knew that I was going to ask for measurements, so they went out and did them before I even made a comment. But in any case, I will say that the studies that we've looked into in great depth, as well as the ones that we've looked at even with less rigor than I did this one, the consultant's work has been good. And these are professionals who do this kind of stuff all the time. The measurement equipment that they have is calibrated, once a year by a national lab. And so I don't think you should doubt the quality of the study that was done. I think, Tech Environmental has been around for a long time. I think perhaps 35 or 40 years. And
I don't doubt that the assumptions that you have are, and the numbers you did are correct. I'm not doubting that at all. Okay. What I'm asking for is an expansion of this study to show that it is affecting more than those few houses on the corner. That depending on the actual volume that we potentially can have with 2 shifts, there's going to be a lot more noise on Depot Road, Old Worcester Road. There's that little neighborhood right across from the garage. 5 houses there? I mean, so you've only taken it from their center in the driveway, but the impact of this is much further beyond than that. And that's what I would like addressed if it's possible. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just had a question for Chris. Chris, would you say the noise generated from the highway would have a greater impact on any areas to the west of the highway than the proposed facility?
I think there are a few homes where we saw the facility levels greater than the highway levels on that side. Yeah, no, they're on 11 Wellington Road. Let me see. Let me look at the numbers.
You said the noise is comparable to that of the highway, general noise generation.
Well, the comparable in not in sound level, but in character. That's what I was referring to. It's that it's motor vehicle noise. So and that's why I was saying that even though the levels will be increasing, it's not of a new type. I've done a number of wind turbine noise studies of wind turbines on land, and those have a different sound character than the background ambient sounds of wind in the trees and of traffic noise. And some people find it disturbing. Most people don't, but a certain fraction of people.
We're not talking about wind turbines.
I know. I'm just saying that I'm talking about sound character, and the sound character here is similar.
So Christopher, I would just have one other question to that person's point. I'm sorry if I don't get your name, but so you realize during the night, these tractor trailers are going to be leaving the facility, right, and going on to that main road. Mm-hmm. So, my looking at what the map is to those people on Millbury Road, they're going to hear that truck leaving from, where they never had to listen to that type of of noise before.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. It'll sound, while the character will still be like trucks that they can hear on the highway, it'll be louder. It'll be noticeable.
Thank you.
Okay, in the back, I'm sorry, I saw his hand first. Just say your name and address, please.
Jason Ortega, 434 South Street, Auburn. I know what it sounds like, but it's just a consideration. Would the board be willing to put a provision against drones? We don't know what's coming here. I'm not as worried about trucks in the future. Those are going probably electrical in the near future, but then you're looking at an increase in states like California when delivery facilities are actually implementing drones. And are you aware of the
Excuse me.
drones?
That's
Sorry.
Did we not go to drones? We're talking about sound. I understand what you're saying, but we can talk about that if you want after this.
So it's a sound produced by a drone. As this is a facility that will be delivering products, or we don't know what's coming.
Mr. Chairman?
The proponent said that this is not a, what'd you call it, a last mile facility. They're not delivering from here. It's
So
just they're
with that
transferring-
understanding, is that something that you guys can put in as a condition?
Yes.
That's
Okay.
Do we know who's going in here?
Okay, do you want to speak? Come on up. Nope, excuse me, that gentleman back there. Yep, come on up. And just make sure you say your name and address, please.
My name is Edward Stutsko. I live at 97 Millbury Road. This sound study, did you take into consideration that the fact that there's going to be a denuding of the forest, and then they're going to basically use explosives to level it, and then that's the sound that we're going to hear. Did you take that into consideration?
Construction noise, I didn't address it, no.
So what's the sense of this sound survey?
It's for the continuing sound that the facility will be generating.
It's
from
for the
years to come.
residents that are going to hear it during regular operation.
But I think your point is the whole.
After the fact, when it's done, when all the trees are down, all the trees are taken away, and then they blast and they level it, that's the sound that we're going to hear, not this sound that he's saying.
Well, my understanding is that, and the developers can correct me if I'm wrong, is that the footprint of the facility is the trees are going to be removed only to the east and west. It's a fairly narrow footprint beyond the building itself. So they will take out the trees to put in the building, and there will be loading dock bays and driveways, but it's not going to be, they're not going to take out a lot of trees beyond that. So the forest will still exist between the building and the homes in this whole area in here.
So-
There's another diagram, this diagram here.
So that
Beyond
is
this line.
not going to change the sound that we're going to hear from the road or from the tractor trailers coming in, or the people that work there coming in. I'm sorry, I don't see it.
Well, the vehicle traffic going back and forth here is what we're talking about being heard at the homes over here.
Right.
That's where most of the increased noise in the homes here is going to be.
All right.
Vehicles in this area.
What's this? That's a bay, right?
Yeah. That's
How many
what-
bays you got here?
It's like 56 or something?
There's more than that.
It says 56, and this one says 58.
All right, okay, 100 and something bays.
Yeah, it's a big facility.
All right. This is after you've taken out all the trees, taken out all the dirt to create this road, and then you want to blast to level it to make it nice and perfect and flat, and then now you're saying the sound is not going to be any more different than what it is now. Are you kidding me?
I'm
That's
not
not
saying,
what he said.
I'm not saying that.
That's
I'm
not what he
saying,
said.
I'm saying the sound is going to increase.
It's going to be different.
That's right, and he said that.
Yeah, it
He
is.
said there's a certain margin of.
By what?
By-
0.2, 0.3? No, it's going to be different.
It's going to be noticeably louder from the facility.
Accentuate
Partic-
this volume from the road, because you're taking all this buffer that basically.
Well, the building, though, will block a lot of the highway sound because it's a tall building. How tall is the building?
I have no idea.
It's about 50 feet,
40,
probably.
40.
Typical warehouse. Yeah, so it's. the building's
Typical?
It's below grade, though. It is below grade. No, I think I'm trying to interpret his question is the background noise going to get louder than the 35 you're getting now after that cliff and trees along 395 are gone?
I considered that, and I think it won't, because I think that the building will block enough noise
another cliff
from
in there.
395 to offset any losses from the trees,
It's going to be lower than 395.
any,
It's gonna be higher.
any reductions that you
If I
have from the
took a
trees.
jacket and went like this and said, "Can you hear me?"
That's true, yeah.
And then, "Can you hear me?" It's the same thing. I mean, come on.
Can we stand-
You
excuse
take
me.
all that buffer zone away. I'm sorry. I'm trying to make a point here. This is you're denuding and you're taking a whole hill away, and then you're saying that the sound is not going to be the same. And then all of these things are, what are those?
Those are rooftop units.
Rooftop units. Okay, great. But I'm sorry, folks. Over and above the truck traffic, I thought I'm making a point here. They've taken the landscape, they've created a new landscape, and then they're saying no sound is going to be, it's not going to be different.
No,
I don't see it.
it will be audible, it will be noisier, not a lot, but noisier,
You said noisier
yes.
before you said it wasn't going to be.
I didn't say that.
No,
You never said that.
He didn't say it wouldn't exceed 10
It
dB.
won't be a,
That's like saying it's not going to be noisier.
No.
no, it's gonna change, it's gonna be noisier.
it's not going to be more than twice as loud.
All right, the board knows it's going to be noisier. Thank you.
All right.
That's it.
Anyone else from the audience regard? Please
My
say-
name,
Yep,
my
I'm
name's
sorry.
Leah Reichner. I live on Millbury Boulevard. I can hear the traffic on 395, tractor trailers going up. And so my comment is, it doesn't just affect Depot Road. It affects everybody on 395, all the way down Sutton Avenue, all the way, anybody who has a house near 395 is going to hear tractor trailers going up and down 395 now. It's a relatively quiet road, 395, even though it's, what, 19, I think it's like a 13-mile stretch of highway from Connecticut to Auburn. And, once you put this in, there's tractor trailers going to come up northbound and southbound. It's going to affect more than just Depot Road. Any house near 395. I just wanted to say that because I know there's some places like Arrowhead Drive and Westview Drive. Those guys are going to start hearing tractor trailers too. Federal Hill Road, Dana Road. Just wanted to consider that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am, come on up.
Hi, Julie Sweeney from 202 Federal Hill Road. And I just wanted to address sound issues. I wanted to say that right now, as it stands on Federal Hill Road, like this nice lady was just saying, she can hear the sounds of the trucks on the highway. Yes, we can hear them also. And we have a truck station that was put in right down at the bottom of our hill. And that truck station, we can hear them. We can hear the sound of their engines, believe me. And there is no such thing as buffer sounds. We hear the jake brakes from the trucks on the highway right now. And if you are going to add, like they said, several trucks coming and going day and night, we're going to hear them. You're not going to ask us to close our windows. No, we're going to have to stay inside. And the smell from those trucks is going to be nasty. Not just the sound. The smell is going to be nasty. It's going to ruin our beautiful environment that we have to live in, okay, for our children and our grandchildren. And this is not fair, what you're asking for us, okay? Also, we can hear the constant noise of this truck station down the hill from our home right now. If you're telling us that we're not going to hear the sound of the 100 and some odd trucks that will be coming and going day and night down the hill, only a short distance from our homes again, that's a falsehood.
Excuse me, what truck station? You're talking way up on top of the hill, Federal Hills?
Eagle Leasing, yes.
All right.
We hear them.
Right up by there?
And we live up on the top of the hill.
Okay.
And we were told we're not going to hear it. No, that's a falsehood. And we're being told the same garbage. We're being sold the same bag of goods right here today. And I'm sorry, but that's a lie. That's a complete falsehood. All right? To be told that we're not going to be, the people, the neighbors are not going to be affected by trucks coming and going, and also cars coming and going to work. People from all neighborhoods will be coming, all kinds of shortcuts up and down our roads. And believe me, our children won't be able to walk up and down our streets. They can't now, hardly, from those trucks that come right down from the leasing company. We have to walk up onto people's grasses when they come by, because the rumbling from the trucks is so severe that you can feel it rumble underneath your feet. So our quiet neighborhoods are going to go to pot, and we're not going to be able to sell our homes. Okay? So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question when you're ready.
Okay.
Did the study go and take a noise sample at the proposed site? It did?
Yes.
Okay. And then did it calculate, let's just say 70% of 124 bays, roughly 80 some odd trucks on site, diesel engines running. Obviously, you've got the noise from the generator units on the ceiling. And then did it give a calculation for the degradation over 1,500 feet?
Yes.
Okay. And what was the change on site? Baseline right now, highway noise on site, it's at what?
That one varied, but typically it was running between 43 and about 50.
Okay.
Those are hourly average sound levels.
Okay.
No, these are the hourly L90s. These are the background sound levels. So the
Okay.
same metric
Highway.
that DEP
At that
likes to
site,
use.
that's the highway noise.
That's correct.
Then when you add 80 trucks, 80 tractor trailers to that site,
Well,
right there.
but it doesn't you're talking about on-site, and the trucks on-site are all distributed in different places. I mean, where do you want me to give you an assessment? I need a location.
1,500 feet away, right? From
Yeah, I want to,
Can we just, if you want to speak, more than happy to come up, not right now, because there's a question on the floor, but we're not gonna yell out, all right? We're not gonna yell out, we're not gonna, do any of that. All right, so I appreciate it if you'd show a little respect for everybody in this place that wants to listen to what's happening, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
So I guess I don't quite understand the question.
Well, I don't necessarily agree with your supposition that the building is going to buffer 100% of the sound on anything that's on the highway side of the facility.
Right.
But if you've got 52 or 58 tractor trailers in the bays on the sides that it's going to project out over the woods, you're telling me that 1,500 feet is going to bring that under the 10 dB level that DEP or whoever regulates that says is an acceptable noise change in a community.
That's what the calculations indicate, yes. And it takes into account, the effects of the terrain and the building itself. The amount of sound you're going to get from the other side of the building, from the west side of the building, is very, very small, because that big, tall building will provide a lot of shielding for the trucks that are very close to it. It won't provide as much shielding for noise from 395, which is farther away, but it will provide some for the vehicles that are just right behind it. Yeah, most of the sound that people will hear from the facility will be activity, at least in this part of the community, activity along that area with the trucks. That's right.
My memory is Mr. Escolas asked for our own sound study. Is that in the record?
So I thought the request was for a peer review sound study.
My recollection is you asked for a sound study.
Well, I asked for a sound study from a town's point of view. Okay? But if you're sharing data, I'm not sure if all the assumptions are right.
I think generally, planning boards, they have to rely on applicants' professionals, and then they hire independent third parties to verify those conclusions. I think the town has acted, in that capacity by hiring a very esteemed professional with almost 50 years of experience to review the technical components of the study and offer an opinion for the board to consider.
So 53G allows for peer review, just like we had TEC for peer review of traffic.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, no.
I mean, how Tony interpreted it, okay. They shared resources, and quite frankly, they are very close,
You want a
which,
third party to look at their information, and
I didn't.
so it was reviewed.
He asked for a noise study, and I'm confirming he asked for a noise study. He didn't ask for peer review. I just want to be clear on the record between the bid and the ask. That's where we are today.
For what it's worth, my recollection is he asked for a peer review. I'll state that for the record, too.
53G allows for peer review, so beyond that,
okay. No, I hear you, Tony, because we do that with all our other third-party reviewers, so.
Yeah, no, I get it.
He picked up on the fact that some of the data he wanted was missing, so he could do it, and he did it. So they shared resources and did it. We haven't received that new report yet. Okay?
So
Now, who's-
Chairman, whenever I have a question.
It was submitted. It was submitted through Tony. I believe it was emailed to him and then to.
sorry.
Sorry, no, just it was submitted to Mr. Sousa. As that's how it got to the peer reviewer. So it was submitted.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir, come on back up. Mr. Ed, come on up.
Thank you. I wasn't here at the last meeting, but the last meeting, you folks asked for specific information as far as getting a new sound study, a new traffic study, And as far as the sound study, it's like I'm sorry, sir, but all you did was look at their information and kind of verified it. But we live on Millbury Road. We've never seen anybody in a sound truck or, a big disc or something going down the street and doing a sound survey. Never saw that.
It did happen. The measurements were conducted, but we didn't use, they don't use a big
From where?
dish.
What do you use? Algorithms, logarithms?
Microphone and a sound level meter was put out in the community at
Where?
3 o'clock in the morning. I will tell
3
you.
o'clock in the morning?
Yes.
Ed, I appreciate it, but he said it happened. We're not going to call anybody a liar. He's not going to call you a liar.
I'm not.
Oh, you're
I'm
saying
not
it didn't
calling
happen.
him a
You're saying it
liar.
didn't
I'm just
happen.
saying, do it in
You're
the.
saying it didn't happen.
3 in the morning is to get the quietest time for the measurement.
Yeah, they
Well,
try to
it
get
was-
the
it was-
baseline.
Which is what I asked
It
for.
wasn't 3 in the
Oh,
morning.
okay.
excuse
Which is
me.
what I asked for. I mean, I
missed-
asked
I
for it
misspoke.
overnight.
So at location at 100 Old Worcester Road from 11:32 to 11:52 a.m. On June 6th, it was the sound levels were measured for background sound level and average sound level. Then 12:01 to 12:21 a.m. on the June 7th at 117 Millbury Road, and then at 84 Millbury Road from 12:18 to 12:48, and then at 79 Millbury Road from 12:50 to 1:10 a.m. And these locations would be basically out at the curb rather than going into somebody's house or something in the middle of the night like that. So the gentleman would stop with his car out at the edge of the road. There's no real traffic at that time of night, and set up his noise meter and run it and measure the sound that was in the air, in the environment at that time. The long-term site was done pretty much right in the middle of the proposed location on the proponent's property, pretty much in the middle of the property there, and that was run for 7 days. So that was a long-term unattended monitoring. And that was run for 7 days to get an understanding of how patterns went from day to day and to look for the quietest periods. So those measurements.
That's not the site now. It's
Well,
all trees.
Yeah, that. But that tells us what the variation.
You're getting
from day to day. It tells us the variation from day to day and hour to hour. And this is a common approach for these types of studies, where you'll have one location, maybe two, where there's a 7-day measurement, and then the acoustical consultant will go out and measure near a lot of the homes. You can't normally do homes for a 7-day period. You have to get permissions and tell people what you're doing. That's not something that the project proponents feel that they want to do right away. So what they do is they do a long-term measurement at their site where they have rights, and then on a public way they will stop in the middle of the night and conduct measurements near the homes to characterize the background at the quietest times of day. And this is done repeatedly all over this Commonwealth for documenting the background sound levels in communities.
Well, you do it at the quietest time. How about doing it at the busiest time?
Because the quietest time is the time when a 24-hour facility becomes the most noticeable.
So it is a 24-hour facility.
We've always requested 24-hour operations.
And this board requested two shifts.
We haven't requested it.
They stated two shifts.
We haven't, right.
I didn't interpret 2 shifts to be 24 hours a day.
And we haven't.
He's clarifying that to us, that
Right.
All
that means
right.
24 hours a day.
All right. All right. I just find it odd that you can get these interpretations from a model. Well, you can take the interpretations that you get now and interpret it into a model, which is totally different from what's there right now.
It is.
It's all woods.
And the model
And it's a
does state-
hill
the
that they're
model
going to denude and they're going to blast.
The model does take that into consideration. It is a 3D model. It's based on topography and other sources, so it does take that into consideration.
These models have been used for decades, and they're validated regularly and they've been shown.
The algorithms or logarithms, or are they?
It's a
like
computer
X equals Y equals.
Ed,
computer program.
Ed, can we, I understand
I
what
know.
you're saying, your point is well made. I have somebody else who would like to
Oh,
speak.
sure. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Raymond Rowe from 94 Fort Hill Road. We've been going on for about an hour on sound, and I'm curious why we need a sound review on a parcel of land zoned for light industry. I mean, is this light industry or is this?
It's a great point.
It is a
Thank
great
you.
point,
That
but,
is my point.
you know,
So, Mr. Chairman, I just have one other question.
Sure.
So, in the sound study, it references that addressed intermediate noise sources, including trucks idling at the warehouse, and it says Massachusetts law requires, limits idling up to 5 minutes. So how is that, in a distribution facility of this size, how do they regulate to make sure that they're within that law of idling for 5 minutes?
Sure. So I think, that might also help kind of just understanding the operations of a facility like this. This isn't generally what happens is a truck will come in, it'll get its assigned dock, it'll go to that dock, it'll back up, and it'll leave that trailer. And then that truck and that cab leaves. So even if these 56 bays along the east side were full, that doesn't mean there would be 56 tractors in front of each of those trailers. And that goes for both the docks surrounding the facility and also for the parking spaces on the opposite side of those docks. So this is not, it's not that there are trucks and they're idling at every bay and they're constantly going in and out. They'll come in, they'll drop their trailer, and then they'll move on to wherever they're going. Maybe they're picking up another trailer to take somewhere else, because again, this is a distribution facility, it's not a last mile facility. So they come in, they drop off, they pick up another one, and then they leave.
But you
I would
don't-
also point out that they have indicated that they will be using electric yard trucks to move the trucks around the yard rather than the diesels. So if they need to move a truck from, let's say, after a truck gets unloaded that's been delivered to the bay, and it needs to get moved, the empty truck needs to get moved to a parking spot, you guys will be using electric yard trucks to make those moves, will you not? So that's a quiet truck. So I think I've seen that in the last 2 or 3 noise studies I've done, is the promise to use electric yard trucks. And that's a way to reduce the noise impact in the community.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else on the board? Go ahead.
I just have one quick one, without getting super technical on it. How do you characterize the difference in noise generated by a tractor trailer 1,000 feet away from you idling versus one 5 feet away from you idling? Because I think there's some confusion here with people in distances and things like that, where my understanding is tractor trailer idling is somewhere around 100, 110 dB at a few feet away. But at 1,000 feet, I mean, I have experience with this in parking lots in real life, and half the time I don't even notice the trucks over there. But I was just curious if that was something simple that you could characterize.
Yeah, just give me 1 second. It would be 23 decibels quieter.
Okay.
No, sorry. I forgot to multiply by 2. It would be 46 decibels quieter. From 5 feet to 1,000 feet.
50%.
So it would reduce it to about the level of a normal conversation at about 5 feet or 3 feet.
No, a normal conversation is in the mid-60s.
Okay.
And in
So a little bit
the
louder.
40s would be 1/4 as loud as that.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else from the board want to talk? Oh, yes.
Just a clarification, I don't know if I'm remembering this right, but at one point I thought that there was discussion about the bays on the east side not being used during the overnight hours. Does anybody else remember that?
I remember that. I do.
discussion?
It's in the proposed conditions, which Tony said he would have.
Yeah, it's in the conditions, yeah.
So, I think there was some, at the last hearing, as we talked about the noise study, and there was some concern, because it was the first time this commission, or this board had received the noise study, so they wanted the peer review. I think during that discussion, it was, we don't know how bad this is gonna be. Maybe we don't wanna let those bays operate at all times. So there wasn't, I'm not sure if there was ever a direct discussion about whether or not those were going to be restricted or not. I think they wanted to see the peer review study, and then it would obviously be up to the discretion of this board in terms of discussion. I'll say that on behalf of the applicant, we believe that the noise study has been peer reviewed, and it has been determined that it does not exceed the limits prescribed by the Mass DEP, so we aren't requesting any limitations to those bays that are operations, but we're certainly look forward to continuing that discussion.
Good, thank you.
Anybody else on the board?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, though, I'd be curious to hear, though, the peer reviewers' thoughts on if there was some type of restriction limiting loading and unloading overnight to the side closest to the highway. Would that make any difference in the numbers?
Absolutely.
And
It would be much quieter in the community at night,
why is that?
because there would be no truck activity on the side that is facing the community. There's trucking activity over here won't really be audible. The trucks will be coming to and from the facility on the driveway, but that's considerably farther away than this driveway here and these loading bays. So it would be a significant reduction, probably 10 decibels reduction at night.
So, the board may wish, from staff and the board may wish to consider that if we were looking to approve possible condition to that effect.
If we do another, have another study done, we should actually request that they look at those numbers.
Well, I think as a condition, we could put down another study after places, post-occupancy, correct. Correct. That's what I would think. Anyway.
Curious how that would work, but.
I know, like, what are you gonna do? How are you gonna?
Well, I'm going to tell you my theory. Since we don't know who's going in here, we don't know if they're going to have electric trucks. You're saying they are. That whoever occupies this facility is going to have to come in front of this board again and describe their operation, how it works, and at that time, they can, before they'll get an occupancy permit. That doesn't mean the building won't be down there. I'm just saying before it's occupied.
I believe as a condition of approval, this board can condition and require that regardless of what operator takes control of the building, they would all have to use electric yard tractors.
It's in the meat.
Well, you can make that. You can make that, but I mean, we don't know who's going in there. Okay, you started to describe how it's going to operate. We have no clue how it's going to operate, other than what you verbally put on the paper. Okay. We don't know when a tractor-trailer truck comes in there, how it's coming in here, and it's going to be docked, and it's going to be ready to go out in 3 months. We don't know that, or it's going to be a daily basis thing. We have no clue. I don't know what's going on. It's like a black box.
Well, I would assume it's 124 tractor trailers in and out of this facility, maybe twice a day, 24 hours a day, with no restrictions on what side of the building they operate. And to the public comment before, light industrial use doesn't require serious consideration of a noise study.
Should we talk about the legal opinion?
The legal opinion, I'm a lawyer, just for the record. I'm not serving in the capacity as a lawyer tonight. I'm a member of the planning board. I read the legal opinion. The legal opinion does not tell me that this is a mandatory approval situation on your proposed use of this site.
I don't think, I've never meant to represent anything of the like.
Well, I read it. I'm telling you right now, that's my take on it.
I haven't tried to make any representations that this is some sort of mandatory approval by any means. As the proponent for the applicant, all we can do is do our best to design the project in accordance with all of the regulations and guidelines and restrictions that we have that would regulate something like this, and we're here seeking your approval.
And I don't think that light industrial is satisfactorily defined in our bylaws, but I'm looking at a 458,000 square foot building, 124 tractor trailers, failing roads around the site. MIPA, we've asked for things to give the board some comfort level that there's going to be safety around this facility, and we're being told that forces beyond our control have said, no, you can't have it. We're not going to approve it. We've already discussed it tonight, and I've made myself very clear on where I stand as far as the special permit goes on this. And I've made it clear to you that I think the plan conforms to our bylaws. But this is not a light industrial proposition, as far as I'm concerned. 24 hours a day is not light industrial. 124 trucks is not light industrial. This isn't a light industrial use.
We're proposing a use that's permitted in the zone. That's all I can offer.
Yes, yes, you are. You are. But based on the hours, based on the volume, based on the impact to the community, does anybody, show of hands, does anybody here think this is light industrial?
Can we not do a show of hands?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
sound.
Do a
We're
show.
talking about a sound study.
Withdrawn.
Okay, let's
sound
refocus. Ed, do you still want to talk about sound? Ed.
Sound? No.
Okay.
Okay, no, Ed.
Good. No,
I'll
good.
sit here.
No.
You got to come up. But hold on. You're not going to talk about sound right now?
Oh, no, I wanted to.
Okay,
That's
does
what we
anybody
want.
else want to talk about sound? Come on up.
So, do we mind putting back the map where you show the entryway where the trucks are gonna be pulling in? Sure. So it's a question for the board to consider, from your expert opinion, what would be the threshold as far as distance? So 500 feet, 300 feet for it to exceed the 10 decibel difference that would be considered outside of Massachusetts regulation?
Well, it's not just an individual event. It has to do with the
Okay, I'm sorry.
cumulative
Let me
effect.
rephrase. If 100% of the trucks went by a house that's 200 feet away from those trucks, how loud would that be for that house?
It's not something I can do in my head right away.
Okay.
It's gonna be louder.
So the point is, when we're looking at the bylaws and we're looking about the impact on the neighborhood, we're measuring the sound as if these were the primary source of the actual sound. But what we have to, I would like you guys to consider is the fact that this narrow road actually starts here. There are dozens of houses here, there are houses here. That's actually the point where 100% of trucks will choke by and will be generating their sound. Do you agree with that?
The noise study, you can see this red line on this map. The noise study takes into consideration truck traffic along that route and through the driveway.
I'm sorry, I'll have to disagree with you. You're not the one that performed the study. We asked this gentleman to
there's-
do the study for the board.
There's a noise contour map that's in the final report. It's that noise contour map that addresses all of the traffic along the driveway. And I believe that beyond the end of their driveway, in fact, I'm sure that beyond the end of their driveway, they are not restricted in terms of how much noise they can make. That's a public road. But on their driveway, they're required to not exceed the 10 decibel increase. And so that contour map will show you a 40 decibel.
Want to show it to the board, right?
In the orange shows you a 40 decibels. And in general, we have found that most of the homes in these areas have background sound levels that are around 35. So if it goes to 45, then that's above the nasty.
So when you conducted your study, did you put sensors in this area?
This is the computer model that calculated this.
Not the
noise
model,
content.
I'm talking about that. So you said you specifically went in and put devices at 3 in the morning and
At 79 Millbury Street, which is that road there, Millbury Road.
in that, so that, you talked about, you mentioned before it was 1,100 feet.
Well, no, it's actually this site that's 1,100 feet from
So,
the
right.
facility. This site is closer to the driveway, that's correct.
So-
And that wouldn't experience, that site, 79 Millbury Street, would be experiencing the largest increase. And
Right.
it's due to the driveway
And would
traffic.
that be within the parameters of acceptance for Massachusetts?
Yes, it would be an 8 decibel increase, it's not
Okay.
10.
And we're assuming you're being honest, so thank you.
I do my best.
Anything else on sound? Come on up.
Good evening. My name's Bill Terrian Jr. I live at 416 South Street in Auburn. I have just two questions. One, the electric vehicles that will be moving the tractor trailers, do they have backup alarms?
I believe they would need them.
Okay.
I don't know about electric trucks, tractor trucks yet, but I do know about the noise emission level that was provided in the report.
Okay, all right. But you believe that they do have to have backup
I
alarms?
think all large trucks have to have backup
Okay.
alarms.
And my second question is, the rooftop units that are going to be at approximately 50 feet up in the air,
Yes.
the noise generated from them, was that able to be measured or calculated at a distance?
Yes.
And was it determined to be within the acceptable limits or minimal limits or something?
It was. The rooftop units that they're using are fairly quiet in comparison to the trucks. And so the calculations show that the rooftop units would, as a whole, would probably be about 10 or 12 decibels quieter than the trucking activity as a whole.
All right, and did the calculations take into effect the deforestation that would be in effect around that once the project is completed?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Yep.
Thank you. Anybody else on sound?
Oh,
Leah
we have
Reichner,
one more.
Millbrae Boulevard. I just had one more comment on the trailer bays. They all have like those big doors that open and close, right? Those make noise too, right? I mean, a lot of them are pretty loud. I don't know if they're automatic or what, but that generates additional noise. I just wanted to say that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I think we're going to close out the sound questions.
This goes back to somebody. Okay.
Thank you very much, Rich.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We really don't have any new information, right?
Other than what was presented.
Right.
That is all that we have.
Okay, so let's go back. Let me just say, Ed, you're the first one. Thank you. I just want to say that we've done 2 meetings. The board is well aware of a lot of the issues, most of the issues. I would say all of the issues. But I'm going to open it back up. Well, open it back up to the public. But let's be calm. Let's only bring up new issues. All right? We understand the traffic issues. Let's not talk about septic systems.
If I may, just to, I want to let the commission know that subsequent to the last meeting, we did receive Board of Health approval for our proposed septic system. That was issued on June 14th.
And I just said, don't talk about septic systems.
All right.
I thought
it was appropriate for the board to.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's pertinent.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
that's fine. It's pertinent.
So, anyway, we'll go back out, but please, let's not applaud. Let's just one at a time. If you have new items. All right, and I apologize if you start talking about the same thing, and I asked you, and I mentioned that we already talked about that. Don't take it as disrespectful. I'm just trying to keep things moving. We've done this for a long time. So come on up, Ed. Yep, Ed, yep.
Just a couple things.
Sure.
We got in touch with I tried to get in touch with the DEP. We do have appeal with them. That's been 5 or 6 weeks now.
All right, let's not talk about conservation either.
It's not conservation.
Okay,
It's,
all
it's
right.
an appeal.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
conservation.
A conservation appeal, but
Okay,
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
Yeah,
all
go
right.
ahead. Yeah.
All right, guys. Sorry. What was the other thing? Shoot, I lost my train of thought. I may have to raise my hand again later. But no, that's ongoing.
Yeah.
And I think that's it.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Well, one at a time.
Yeah, if you don't mind. Okay, that's fine.
I don't want to do that.
Chairman, members of the board, Jacob Cussy, live at 432 South Street, right in the border of Auburn, Oxford. And I did prepare a presentation tonight. I know you just said you guys have all seen this packet.
Yep.
So it's very long. There's just a couple points that I really want to send home here. Yeah, please.
Couple new points, right?
Couple new points.
Okay.
How do I do this right here? So right here. So on this side here, I just want to make sure, like, putting this project into perspective, this mega warehouse is going to be equivalent to almost 8 football fields, occupy more than 120 acres. It'll actually be larger than the size of Fenway Park, which is 392,000 square feet. So if you think about that, you'll have this able to actually fit inside of this proposed warehouse. It'll encapsulate it. So again, I don't know how something larger than Fenway Park could be considered light industry. And I can tell you personally, I don't want that in my backyard. I don't think any of you would.
Jake,
Yes.
quick question. How many acres did you say this was going to take up? 100 and what?
120.
That's the whole.
Is this development going to take 120 acres? Is the lot even 120?
The entire property is 120 acres. The developed area is.
Okay, all right. I just want to make sure.
All right, my mistake there.
Yeah.
Fourth of.
I don't want numbers out there like people go home and go,
Right,
holy crap,
right, so it's not,
120
right.
acres.
Right.
Yeah, so that's, yeah.
So, but I do want to just touch on this. I know I wasn't going to mention anything about septic. I just want to say, just because it was brought up really briefly, we just have to remember the Thayer Pond project. That was run on a septic system. It was approved by all the best qualifications. Engineers brought things forward that said this would work. However, Thayer Pond Village, that septic did fail, which did pollute the environment. The difference is with Chimney Pond area, that is the aquifer head. So that groundwater, if that gets polluted, that can actually disturb the residents of Oxford. That can just destroy the water system. And the only reason that Thayer Pond Village was able to exist was because it had the option to tie in its sound sewage with Auburn. So again, I just wanted to bring up those couple points of this presentation. And I just hope you guys do review the packet I handed out the last meeting.
We definitely did. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job on it
Appreciate
too, by the way.
Thank you.
Okay.
Brand new stuff.
Brand new.
Brand new.
Don't mention tires.
No.
Don't mention the dam.
No.
Go ahead.
All right, it's brand new. Now, I've had a meeting with Tony. I talked to the engineer, right, about this, right? My plan, right, is to save this project, okay? But I also want to address everybody's needs here at the board. I want to address all the residents here, right, needs, right? And also the needs of the engineer and the owners of the property, right? My idea, right, is to move this project to South Oxford.
Okay, nope. We're not going to do that. We're not going to move any
If he
project.
wanted to withdraw, he could withdraw, and he could go
Do you
to
have
South
it?
Oxford.
But, well, the reason
more,
why-
No, information regarding the submitted project, please.
All right, well, since
They
we
don't want you to save the project. They just want you to ask a question about the project.
All right, well, I've been in contact with the highest levels of the Army Corps of Engineers.
Okay.
Okay, because there's a lot of confusion about, like, what's the Army Corps of Engineers' role in this project, right? So this information comes right from headquarters, which is in Concord, Massachusetts, under the command of Colonel Antonio, which came to Oxford.
Okay, no,
right,
keep
last
going.
year.
No,
So, what's in front of them right now, right, is a permit,
right, for repairing a water line that went to the old ice station, right? And the water pipe, right? The only thing the Army Corps is going to do, they're not going to fix the water pipe, right? They're all going to do is they're going to review what has been done and make sure it is in accordance to federal laws, okay? The Army Corps, right, I asked the Army Corps to actually come here and speak, but they said that very rarely do they come to these type of meetings to speak, right? But the Army Corps, right, has not been contracted, right, to do an inspection of the dam,
Okay.
right? They have not been contracted to do any repair or rebuild the dam, right? The only involvement on this dam is for a floodplain, which they said, like in severe flooding, they have the right to back up a lower area next to the highway station,
Yep.
right, on Depot Road, right? If there's historical flooding, right, they have the right to back up Chimney Pond Dam, okay? That means that the entire dam, including their road, will be underwater, okay? So, I mean, that is their right to back it up, right? And so they wanted, to say that's their only involvement in this dam. They also said that the last time we had severe flooding was 1987. You know what I'm saying? The Greenbrier Park was actually filled up many times when I was in the 1980s. Right up, you can actually stand on the guardrail and jump off. You know what I mean? So
I understand.
So that's just what the Army Corps' involvement is on this project.
Yep.
So I just wanted to, clarify that and stuff like that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you
Appreciate
very
that. Yes, ma'am. Come on up.
Yeah, I kind of want to piggyback on what Rich said, so.
Okay.
I know you guys don't want to talk about environmental, but
Nope.
one of the things was back, I know that they had that Mr. Krivosky who's in your EBT a consultant. He did, at one time, they did work with Mass Wildlife and say that the land use, just talking about groundwater in general, that land use includes impervious surfaces such as building footprints, roads, and parking lots, along with man-made surfaces that keep water from being absorbed into the ground. And impervious surfaces with direct runoff into streams and ponds that have a direct impact on the water temperature, water quality, and physical habitat. So my question, I guess, is about the floodplain. And when this water runs off of these parking lots, and it goes into the floodplain, and the places where they used to be absorbed before is gone. So you have destruction on the west side, you have destruction, so you don't have that whole plain anymore. It's all on the east side, next to the residents, behind the residents' houses and homes. So when a flood does come, how does that impact these homes where it's soft land on the east and used to have, I guess, ridge on the west, rock outpost, outcropping. So I don't know if you guys have done a study about that, but if it did flood there, how does that impact?
That's a great question. Now, is this your first meeting here?
No, I was here a couple times before.
Okay, that's a great question. I think Mr. Soley, is that right? Has addressed that before, but if you want to,
I'm happy
real
to.
quick.
Sure. So, our stormwater management system is designed to collect all of the water runoff from the site. So obviously we are adding impervious surface, but all that stormwater is collected. It is routed through our treatment train, and it is so we're improving water quality associated with the project. All of that stormwater is then routed into above ground water quality basins, which provide stormwater detention and attenuation. So we're actually reducing the peak flow of runoff for all storm events from the 2-year to the 100-year. So we're actually reducing the stormwater runoff from the site through our stormwater management system. Additionally, there is no impact to the floodplain that surrounds Chimney Brook, or Chimney Pond, excuse me. So we don't have any adverse impacts to the floodplain on site or any of the downstream neighbors.
So, is it safe to say that you're improving what's currently there?
Yes, it is. Yes, thank you.
Because it seems like the water wouldn't be dispersed across the plain anymore. It's all kind of pushed to the east side of the building. You have walls and everything there.
If I'm not mistaken, when you do drainage calculations, you can't aim it in a different location. Am I right?
That's correct.
It has to pretty much go where it goes now. but they're just holding it back so it doesn't,
Go out any
blow out the
faster.
wetlands or something.
And that includes
correct.
with the flood study too?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. And then the other thing I wanted to ask about was, I know Mr. Yule talked about the cost, the benefits to the town financially. And I don't know if there's ever been any studies done about, like a trade-off of what, because I've always seen people talk about the positives, but nobody has talked about the negative impact as far as cost to the town. Like if we have a lot more traffic, then we gotta pay for more roads, and then we have, everything else, I mean, there's, I know somebody was talking about Federal Hill tractor trailers. I mean, there's dump trucks flying like 60 miles an hour down my road, Millbury Boulevard, and little kids out there and everything.
Yeah.
It's scary. So I just worry about, I think there should be some independent, it seems like there's no independent assessment of the cost benefit to the town. Do you know what I mean? Like,
No, I do.
it just seems like it's all plus. Everybody just talking about the plus and nobody's talking about.
Oh, no, and I asked at the last meeting that I wanted to see road improvements done by this company if we do approve this plan.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not at the end yet, so I mean, there's all kinds of things we can discuss, conditions we can add, discussions we can have with the developer, when we get to that point, so.
Yeah, because I know, like, I feel like I'm not going to be able to sell my home. Nobody's going to want to buy a house next to an Amazon warehouse. You know what I mean? That's just my personal.
Nobody said the word Amazon.
Okay. All right.
It's a warehouse.
It's
All
a
right,
warehouse.
thank you.
Building. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay, yes, sir. Yep.
Too much new, just an update, traffic-wise. I'm 2 houses down from where that truck went over. You saw it in that packet. Hasn't been fixed. It's actually deteriorated.
Okay.
Okay? And this was, because I know, the discussion, if you can see, this is the road with the
Yeah,
tractor
we
trailer
saw,
going
yeah, we
through.
saw, yeah.
No, this is a different one.
New
I
one?
just took it,
Yeah.
because they go by daily.
Yeah.
I try to run out with my camera. Okay, now it's warm, the neighborhood's starting to walk the street.
Yep.
And you see how much is there
Yep.
between the tractor trailer
Yep.
and that pedestrian. And there's a corner there. If there was a car coming around, that would not have made it. So, I mean, that's what we deal with on the neighborhood. And like I said, I'm 2 or 3 houses down. The road is actually narrow because it keeps falling in. No repair whatsoever. Trucks haven't stopped.
Nope. Are you gonna
Oh,
talk?
sorry.
Talk to
The trucks haven't stopped. And the speed limit signs mean nothing. I mean, if they're going 30, they're not. They're doing 40 and above. They rumble by. The noise, I mean, just from going by the house, but
So they're speeding on that road.
they're speeding out that road, and there's not even room enough for the neighborhood to walk the road. If you got to walk your dog, I mean, you got to make sure you're able to pull them to the side real quick.
Obviously, I recommend you talk to the,
Well, yeah.
Call the police
There's no
department.
enforcement of it. I mean,
Sure.
yeah, I mean, just like putting up a sign. You put up a sign, just more for them to ignore, unfortunately. Okay.
okay, I think there was, yes, sir.
Mark Hopkins, 23 Hall Road. My legs are from sitting so long. Last time I was here in the meeting, we determined, I think, that this area is light industrial.
Mhm.
And they said that they had freight and trucking, which you guys were talking about sound and trucks and the backup and everything. And there was a gentleman that stood up and said, why are we talking about that if it's light industrial?
Yep.
So your zoning laws, which are our zoning laws, it lists the freight and trucking industries. It's under, there's a little tiny dash. If I can pull this up. So this is the Town of Oxford zoning bylaws.
Mhm.
And under the transportation industries, it's freight and trucking terminals. And there's a little dash under light industrial. And you go back in here, chapter for, hang on. Legs don't work, eyes don't work. It says right here, if it is denoted by the symbol dash, a use is not permitted in such district. So we have two things going in here: light industrial and freight and trucking. I haven't seen the water calculations for the freight and trucking. I'm concerned about water. So I went, Oxford's Logistics Center states how many 114 loading docks, 134 trailer parking spaces, and then 15 trailer spaces designed somebody gets there early. There's no water calculations.
When you say water calculations, what do you mean? Supplying water to the?
It's for, you said not to say septic system. So there's an 8-inch main
Yeah.
that's going up to this facility.
Yeah.
It draws off of our town water. They calculate, let me see here.
Query.
They have a calculation. Here.
Okay.
Chart. It's a calculation chart.
Okay, can I just hold you up for the, I believe
Yes.
the water line was addressed
Yes.
by the engineer?
Yes.
We are proposing a water main extension to serve the site, where we've been working with.
And they have,
To Aquarium.
and I think you've talked to the, did you say you talked to the water company?
We have. We've been in active dialogue with Carlos Viscarando from Aquarian, who
Okay.
is responsible for main extensions.
All right, does that answer your question?
No.
Okay.
It's a different question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And I'm trying to get my stuff together here. Okay. So, the engineers, they calculate how much water they need for their sewage. Oh. I'm looking at it. Where is the freight and trucking water? Is there a freight and trucking water calculation?
There's not, in accordance with Mass DEP requirements and the Title V requirements. We generate septic generation based on anticipated number of employees. We've used the most conservative number for this facility, and we estimate that we would have roughly 9,000 gallons per day, which has been approved by the Board of Health.
So, we have a company, freight and trucking company,
Yep.
that's going to go in a light and industrial.
If I may,
And
we
they're
aren't
not-
proposing a freight and trucking company. The project application proposes
What's the actual use going to be?
a warehouse distribution, which is permitted in the district.
With a lot of freight and trucking going through it every day.
If I could just,
What's in a name? What's in a name?
I would offer, if you guys want to discuss that, you guys could read for the record the legal interpretation given by the town's council.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
well, if I could continue,
Yeah.
and I'm not a highly educated person. I got 8 kids and had to work 3 jobs. And I hear everything everybody's saying here, and it's a bad, bad thing that's going to happen here. I looked at their water calculations for a warehouse. So I said, where did they get these water calculations? So it comes from DEP. It's on the Title V, which Mr. Solly's correct. And I started looking at it. I says, well, there's got to be water calculations for freight and trucking. And I'm loaded with common sense and numbers. Freight and trucking, I think I said that in the last meeting. The water was not calculated. That means the septic system isn't calculated right. It's calculated for a warehouse with 600 employees, which it's 24/7 facility. That facility can now go to 3 shifts, which would make it 900 employees because it's 24/7. That puts their water calculations of 9,000 gallons per day per person over that limit. Now, if I went down into the Department of Environmental Protection, 310 CMR, what they state on here, and I go in and I see the factory, industrial warehouse, a dry storage. One has per person, it's 15 gallons per day, and if you got a cafeteria, it's 20. Then I go down, I'm looking, where is the trailers? Where am I going to find trailers? So I go down and I find trailer dump station. This is by the Department of Environmental Protection. Per trailer, it says 70 gallons per day. Now, if you add up this little flyer with all those loading docks, it comes out to 263 trailer spots. 263 trailer spots. If you multiply that by 75 gallons per day, it goes up to almost 30,000 gallons. Their septic system is only designed for 9,000 gallons. It's wrong. It's not right. It's wrong. So you have two separate businesses, and you're not including the water consumption for the other business. So I'm looking at it. It says right here, if it's not, I want to read this. Facilities other than those listed in 310 CMR 15.203, 2 through 5, you may apply to the department for a determination of design flow use, actual meter readings of established flows from existing or similar installations without the need of a variance or anything else. So they can get those numbers that aren't calculated for this project. Now, there was a woman here, she lives on Federal Hill.
Mm-hmm.
I was at the airport all my life, grew up there. Airport dissolved, zone light industrial. They came before a board like this, and they said it's a container facility. But nobody questioned that there's a truck that's got to bring each container up there. So it is a freight and trucking company that's hidden under a container corp. And this is a freight and trucking company hidden under a warehouse. And
How do you get something to a warehouse without trucking it to it?
Okay, so
No, you know what? I don't.
it's inside a warehouse. You have inside loading docks. That's how you do it. You know, something was said to me about Home Depot. They unload off of trucks. They don't have the loading docks. You ever notice that?
Nope.
Because it's all a game that we play to get into this establishment. Oh, I want to get in here and I want to get in here. So it's a tripulation of the rules and regulations. And all I am saying is it's zoned light industrial. That means you could have a warehouse with indoor, so you don't hear the backup alarms. You know, we have all this noise thing, but that's what light industrial is, to protect against noise, traffic, and all of that. So I would really like the board to look and see that water requirement for that separate thing is not included here. In calculations, as somebody said that the other septic system failed because there was erroneous information given. And I can see that there is erroneous information given if you don't include all those trucks.
Okay, thank you very much for that, okay? But and I'm not going to say he's right, I'm not going to say he's wrong, but those issues you need to bring to the Board of Health, okay? Because he did his thing, approved by the Board of Health, and that really doesn't have anything to do with us, okay?
The zoning laws don't.
No, the septic system issues that you're bringing up.
Oh,
The water.
Do you live in town?
The water.
The water. We're talking about water.
Well,
talking
I
about the
know,
water.
but what I'm talking about is it's on a wellhead, so if it fails, it goes to our drinking water. That's all. We're in a situation where there's surface water directly to our wellhead.
Mhm.
That's,
All right, thank you.
that's
Thank you
what
very
I'm
much.
talking about.
All right.
Zoning laws.
All right. No more questions, so what does the board want to do? Do we want
Wants
to
to go for-
continue it?
yeah, I mean-
Continue it for another meeting? Do we
Oh.
have anything to look at on the interim? No? Okay, well, it's up to the purview of the board. Here we go.
I mean, the one piece that we haven't read into the record yet is that legal opinion from town council. I don't think that's been fully explored tonight. Correct?
That's correct. I did provide you all with a copy of it.
Yep.
I did
Okay.
provide you all with a copy of the legal opinion.
All right, do I need to read that in? Oh, hold on, I have one. Yes, sir. Come on up, state your name.
My name is Elias Patuchis. Light on? Yep, I'm with Oxford Land Ventures. I'm the proponent of this project. In November, I had my first hearing with Conservation. We went through multiple meetings, multiple peer review consultants, MEPA review, DEP, Army Corps of Engineers. DOT. We've satisfied the wetlands issues. We are now here before you in our third meeting, I believe. We presented a peer review, a noise study, which was peer reviewed. The conclusions were provided this evening. This property is in the light industrial district. Wholesale distribution is allowed by specials permit. If you look at where the site sits, it abuts a major highway, 395. It abuts an active railroad. 4 cars a day go by that railroad. It's on a major cloverleaf. Depot Road. Cloverleaf and Depot Road were almost built to accommodate a facility like this. I want to address the board's concerns tonight. I understand you are concerned about hours of operation. I'd like to address those. Okay. I understand from the prior meeting you had a question or requested a stop sign put in. Kevin DeAndre, our peer review consultant, your peer review consultant, addressed that concern, hopefully to your satisfaction. If not, we'll put it on the plan. And we'll try to get it approved by Mass DOT. But that roadway is not under our control. It's under their control.
Yep. I understand.
And that's not specific to Oxford. It's specific to different roads in every cities and towns here. I've been through it before. And trust me, dealing with Mass DOT is a long process. So to try to address your concerns, we'll put it on the plan, and I'll make every effort I can to put it there. At the end of the day, if they say no, I can't do anything about it. Hours of operations. I ask that the facility be run on the inside 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. I ask that I have use of the loading docks that abut the highway for the same period of time. I will limit the use of the loading docks that abut the neighbor's Millbury Road that face that area. I will limit the use of those from 12 p.m., midnight, to 5 a.m. They can't be used. Your noise consultant said that would drastically reduce the noise. I'm hoping that addresses your concern.
How come the engineer put 2 shifts? Address that for me.
I don't-
We know shifts are 8-hour shifts, okay? Usually.
I do not know. I do not have a tenant. I do not know who the tenant is.
Okay.
It could be 2 12-hour shifts. I don't know. But at the end of the day, this is a warehouse distribution. These have been approved in all over the state. Okay?
I know, it's hot right now.
Right?
I know that.
And to address Mr. Lee's concerns about light industrial, I've talked to other planning board members, Plainville, Uxbridge, Taunton, that had the same definitions, the same uses, and they approved Cross Bay distribution centers. This is not a freight terminal. A freight terminal is something that is at an airport or at a seaport or at a railroad. We're not loading and unloading freight. This is a warehouse distribution center. That's what this is. So my goal is to address your concerns and at some point move to a vote. Close the public hearing and move to a vote. Whether it's tonight or at the next hearing, address your concerns through conditions. I know we can find a happy median to get us to build this building, provide over $500,000 a year in real estate taxes to the town. That can go to schools, that can go to roadways, that can be used for good things. And I understand the neighbors are concerned. I understand they purchased homes overlooking this land, but this land has been zoned this since the 70s. There has been prior approvals here that were approved by the planning board in the late 80s, early 90s, which, by the way, I studied, right? And it showed the roadway coming in, which is how I originally proposed it, between the railroad and Chimney Pond. I followed that path because that's what was approved in the past. After several meetings with conservation and the neighbors came out and they were concerned about noise, we moved that roadway. And that's an extra 500 to 600 feet long. Okay, that's almost over $1 million to address that concern in terms of making that roadway longer. And the terrain is tougher there. So that was a major move on my part to try to address those concerns. I'm willing to do what I just said on the loading docks for that side to hopefully address your concerns and help with the noise. So that I just ask the board, please, look at the site. Look what it's zoned. Look where it sits. Look at the access. That's it.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. What do we want to do?
So
Continue?
did you want to read
Yeah,
that,
I think no.
the attorneys?
So, at the last time we met on May 23rd, there was a request also for a legal opinion. And for clarity, let me just read how the question was phrased. That the planning board's asking for a legal opinion on what light industrial is under our zoning bylaw. We have an application for a wholesale distribution facility in the light industrial zoning district. Truck and freight terminals are prohibited in the light industrial district, but trucking will be a major component of the wholesale distribution facility. In the past, we have interpreted trucking freight terminals as facilities serving companies such as Old Dominion. Old Dominion was approved as a trucking freight terminal. We've verified that. Wholesale distribution facility, for example, could be such a business as, yes, Amazon, yes, as Target, yes, as Wayfair, so on. And I noted here that an end user has not been identified for this project. So I believe that's a true, fair summary of what was asked to our council. Our council responded back with respect to light industrial used in our zoning bylaws. to indicate a name of a particular zoning district. As to such is defined by uses allowed in that district, and those uses are described in Table 3 of the bylaw. Everyone has seen this, Table 3 of the bylaw, light industrial, industrial. When you look at the individual use descriptions in the LI, light industrial district, the problem is separating the business from the use on the ground. Your zoning bylaw descriptions include a little bit of both. To that point, what is the difference on the ground between a FedEx General and or Target / Amazon, etc. distribution center, ? I assume both involve warehousing of goods and shipment by truck from the facility. Put aside for a moment the question why a Target, Amazon, Wayfair would be classified as a wholesale distribution facility when they are more accurately characterized as a retail distribution facility, sell directly to consumer. The difference is in the business models and business classification, where FedEx is strictly a business devoted to shipping and delivering goods owned, sold by others. And Amazon, Target, etc. are shipping goods owned by them and others and sold by Amazon, etc. Based on the town's prior interpretation of these categories and the fact that trucking and freight terminals have historically been defined as applying to shipment of goods owned and sold by others, in my opinion, this is counsel, in my opinion, you would have a hard time defending a denial of a special permit for an Amazon, Target, Wayfair warehouse distribution facility on the basis that it was a truck and freight terminal. And he says here, I don't know what the permit application looks like, but it seems that if the use is identified as a wholesale distribution facility, it is a special permit site plan use until the application materials indicate otherwise. And this was received from our council back on June 21st, as requested by the board. I'm not going to opine. I just shared that information with you.
Okay.
Let's understand how it got to us as a special permit. It's because our zoning enforcement officer, our building inspector who gets new proposals in town, designated that it was a special permit application through the planning board. Okay? That's why we're here. Okay? If it was a dash like people are interpreting, it should have never even gotten to us. It would have been strictly denied ahead of time. Am I right on that one, Tony?
Correct. The point of the wholesale distribution facility also, now I believe, having it under that classification too, with further, if the board were to approve with condition prohibiting last mile distribution, is very important. Otherwise, the applicant, through the same special permit site plan review, could fall under miscellaneous. And I think, I don't know, but I strongly feel that this shouldn't be classified under miscellaneous.
No. Okay. Any other questions?
I guess I'd just like to be happy with all the restrictions we put on this thing before we go to a vote.
Yeah, again, I know some things are out of your control. Like I said, I've been asking right along that I want to see, road improvements to that whole area. And I know those are out of your control. We can't control where these trail trucks are going to go. You can say all you want, they're going to come off 395. They're going to go where they're going. We can't control where the people working there are going to go. These are serious issues that the neighbors have and I have. But again, I just know at the end of the day, there's going to be a lot more trailer trucks coming through the town of Oxford using their roads. Yep, come on.
So I think if I may, I think one of the conditions that the board could consider is a post-occupancy traffic study. And I think we've talked through that with Kevin DeAndre, the peer reviewer. That's something that DOT typically looks for as well as part of a MIPA process. Yeah. And it's a requirement. So it's a requirement of DOT. So I think that, we're obviously as traffic engineers, we're making projections based on a number of different elements. And I think that requirement, that post-occupancy study, will also help us understand that if what you're concerned with becomes a reality, there's an opportunity to potentially look at additional requirements at that time.
again, it still doesn't address how these roads are gonna get improved in the town of Oxford.
Well,
Those aren't requirements that we can make of the owner.
Under a special permit, yes.
absolutely can.
Yeah, and under a special permit, we can.
Yes.
DOT to make Millbury Road or Boulevard, no trucks. We can't do that.
No, as a matter of fact, they're public streets.
Right. But Mark, under a special permit, I can ask them to improve those roads. I can, under a special permit, or funds towards it. I can. It's a special permit. I can.
So the board has discretion on the special
Yeah.
permit. Whether
Yes.
The most important thing is to find, is there a connection between,
exactly.
How you pinpoint that?
Yeah.
Right? What
Well,
is
again,
the dollar amount and really what's it going to be used for?
well, that's what I'm trying to get to, I guess.
Well, we'd want to make
And
sure
that's an
any.
issue that I would have to get outside opinion from the town on how much, these vehicles are actually going to affect the roads, which we already know are in bad condition.
Do you know, Jeff, do you know specifically where, are you talking just Millbury Road?
No, not necessarily.
They
No, I'm talking about Old Worcester. I'm talking the roads that these people are going to be traveling on, every day once this facility's up and running. And again, it's hard to say that what they're going to do, because it's not. I'm not going to get into like the trash trucks or anything like that, but I'm specifically talking about the use of the employees working there using the roads and the trailer trucks using our roads.
But you're saying that you would give a special permit conditioned on off-site improvements?
Yes.
To the roadways?
Yes.
Around this facility?
Yes.
Can I ask Mr. Petuchis, is that it? Did I butcher that?
No, that's fine.
All right. Sorry about that. So you said you have experience building these buildings?
Yep.
Am I correct?
Yep.
Okay, so we had talked about at one meeting, I know Mr. Solly put a right-hand only turn coming out of the facility, so basically forcing them to get on the highway.
That's correct.
If we put a stipulation in an approval that said all trucks have to take a right, in your experience, how does that go over with your tenant when you tell that to a tenant?
It's already proposed.
We've already proposed that.
No, I know that, but how after you approve it and here we go, how do the tenants usually have pretty good compliance?
In a situation like this, this site is uniquely located immediately adjacent to 395.
Right.
At a major interchange, which provides free access northbound and southbound. Yep. So we're not concerned with the right-out restriction. It's proposed as part of our project. We have geometric restrictions that would prohibit a truck from turning left. So we're not concerned with that being problematic from a potential user standpoint, because we're very confident that the only way these guys are going to want to go are up and down 395.
Okay.
So
that was kind of
you can't, because they could.
They can't go left.
North and south, yes, on 395, but not east and west. You don't know. We don't know where these trucks are going to go, and nor do you. You can assume they're going to go on 395. You can assume they're going to go towards Connecticut or they're going to go towards Worcester, but you can't tell us that this is the only way these trucks are going to go.
So that was
You don't know.
I'm sorry, Jeff. That was my question. I obviously said it wrong. So you tell you have that right turn only, and if you told your tenants you cannot go on Millbury Road, you can't go down Old Worcester Road with a trailer truck, which makes perfect sense and you say you only can go on the highway, how does that typically go over in the real world?
Right.
For a situation like this, it's perfectly fine and well received, and it's something that and actually telling the tenants, that's something that we actually built into our ongoing maintenance and operations requirements for the site, which has been approved by Conservation Commission and is part of the materials before you, which would need to be approved by this planning board as well.
Yeah, what's your enforcement mechanism if it isn't followed?
Common sense tells you they're not. Why would they go anywhere else but on the highway? But like Rich said, public highways, you can't tell them. You really can't tell somebody where to go.
Like 2 weeks ago, last week, I don't know if anyone else hit the traffic, but there was a backup on 190, and I think it was brought up at a meeting, and all of South Oxford was backed up. You couldn't move from like the center of town past Walmart. It was Mass Pike, I-90. So there was it was horrendous of how much traffic there was just in the town.
And people
And it
bailed.
lasted a good, I mean, it was a good couple hours, I think, that it lasted. And, you know, big concern there too is you have an elementary school so close by. I mean, you have, you know, you have the school buses, you have the parents going to school, you got all that additional traffic going through. You know, you have kids that walk, there's some kids that still walk to school.
Okay, Matt?
Yeah, I just had two quick things. The first on the traffic on the surrounding roads is the right turn exit only addresses half the problem. A lot of the concerns are traffic going to the facility, which could very easily come down Millbury Road and South Street from 146. And I think that's a fair concern to have. And, I mean, this isn't on this particular project, but Millbury Road right now is kind of chewed up. I mean, something needs to happen there regardless of this project. But, I mean, I think that's a valid concern to have. And, you know, instructing tenants on, you know, how to get their people there, that might work if it's a big company that it's being leased to that, you know, can put standards and practices into place. But as we don't know who the tenant is, I mean, it's a question mark. But the other thing that I just want to really quickly mention to get in perspective, because a lot of numbers were given out on a lot of things tonight, and one of the numbers that was thrown out was, well, what if there's 60 trucks a day going down Old Worcester Road? That's 2.5 trucks an hour. That's not a heavy density of trucking. 60 trucks, if you see 60 trucks in front of you, it sounds like a lot. Over a 24-hour period, I mean, it's not a lot. You probably have more loud Harleys going by than that. I mean, just realistically. But I do think there are definitely valid traffic concerns getting to this facility from these side streets.
Okay, can I know we're getting late, we have other things to do. I obviously can't make the motion, but I would recommend that we continue this meeting.
How about on the next meeting, if people can ask questions to the owner, now that everybody knows who the owner is?
We don't know who the owner is.
Okay, oh, no, we're not gonna yell out, and argue with each other. So what does the board want to do?
I make a motion we continue it.
Okay, motion by Jeff to continue.
I'll second it.
When,
Date and time certain if you do
Sorry,
make the motion.
I'll make the
What you got on what you got on tap for the next meeting
Yeah.
there, my friend?
Well, the date's July 11th,
Yeah, what's
And-
what's already on there?
and
What's already on
July
there?
25th.
Yeah, wait, well, so we'll go to go away.
I'm away the week of July 11th.
Okay,
You know,
so-
I
so
only asked
2 weeks from then would be the
to-
20.
but you know, generally a hearing's left open to receive additional information. I mean, are there specific things that the board wants to hear about that they haven't already heard about? Or, I mean, I don't want to, you know, I know this has been a long conversation.
Sure, I would like to know how you are going to address the improvements of the roads around it.
Well, if I could offer on behalf of the applicant that the board consider a condition that requires a contribution to the town to offset that, would that make the board feel more comfortable?
Well, we don't even have a realistic
I don't have a
idea
number.
what
Well, I
the
think,
town-
but I
don't
think,
have a
but I
number.
think, but I think that's, but hang on,
Yeah,
but I
sounds
think
gotta
that,
get
I think
there.
that's an important component.
Oh, it is.
Because,
for me
no,
it
because,
is.
no, but because it's an important component because generally with projects like this or anything else, they have to mitigate their impact, right? And usually that's something that's quantifiable because traffic engineering and traffic studies are, it's engineering, it's math and it's numbers and it's understanding what the impacts are. Our analysis, our report hasn't identified any specific impacts that would require mitigation on Millbury Road. That has been reviewed by the peer review consultant, and we've gone through several iterations and analysis to support that. So with that being said, in the absence of a specific issue that requires mitigation based on this project, perhaps that the board may consider a contribution of, say, $50,000 to do improvements at their discretion.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I may, I would like additional time to look through this. As I said before, any mitigation, there needs to be a nexus between the project itself. It is a special permit, so it is something that I would like time to look at that.
Thank you, Tony.
Is there any mechanism for it to sort of take a straw poll on where the board is with the special permit?
I'm undecided.
I don't think so.
Okay, then we'll leave it at that.
Maybe in a closed room.
No.
Okay,
I'm
what do
gonna
we
stick
what do we
my-
want to do?
I'm sticking to my motion that.
All right,
Maybe
so
the
there's a motion
25th.
on the floor to continue this till what?
I'll go to the, because he can't be here for that, I'll go
25th.
the 25th.
I won't be here, but I'm on vacation.
Well, if that's the case, you need to get an
You know what,
extension.
we've got one member
Need to get an
that
extension.
can't vote. We need to preserve the,
I'm away, so the 25th. but-
Is there any chance we can get an extension?
Yes, so the action date will have to be, would have to be changed. The action date is July 24th by calendar dates. So the applicant would have to request for an extension of the board. I would recommend that board take a vote on that separately to extend the action date if that's what you wish to do.
Is the applicant fine with that if we extend it one more time?
To what date would that go to?
September.
No, it has to be
No,
posted.
we've extended to the September, August
If you wish,
31st.
Second Monday.
I would
I'd go a month
recommend
out anyways.
to August 22nd to
Right.
be safe.
Yeah, I'd go a month out from, yeah,
And the next hearing would be when?
the 25th.
But
I'm
The-
not here the 25th of July.
The
so-
August dates
I
would be
think
the
she's
8th
already
and the
missed the meeting
22nd.
too, so we already lost one member because he's,
Voted an abstention, right?
No.
Can we not yell out from the audience, please?
no, Roger missed a second meeting, and unless someone can say he can review the tape and be okay with it, he's already gone.
Mr. Chair, the August dates the 8th and
Ed,
the
you were
22nd.
on a board. Did you want them yelling out? Thank you.
August
Thank
8th
you.
and 22nd.
Don't be.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor to extend, actually, do we have to do the extension first from
Yeah,
the developer?
you gotta do it.
To August 22nd.
22nd.
But again, the purpose
Gotta
to
be
extend
after
a public hearing or continue a public hearing is to receive additional information on the application.
Yep.
You know,
I'd like to be working on the working draft of conditions. That's what I would think should
which
be
can be
done.
done during deliberations. Doesn't require the hearing being
Yeah,
held.
I'd like to see everything out in front,
So to be clear.
and I'll be clearer.
It sounds as though the applicant's requesting to close the public comment portion. That is not traditional practice of the board, but that appears to be the request of the applicant.
I mean, personally, I don't think that's unreasonable. I mean, we're not getting any new information.
No, we're looking at putting conditions on to what, whether they accept
To
them or
see if
not.
we can get enough votes of
Right.
members to pass this thing, okay? That's where we stand right now.
Yep.
Okay? So,
Okay, so we have a, do you want to rescind your motion? Wait,
Well, we need a continue,
Get the
continuance
extension
to
anyway.
extension to August 22nd.
Yep.
If they agree to the extension. Just, if you agree,
We'll, on behalf of the applicant, we'll agree to
Extension
continue the
of-
extension to
August
August 22nd.
you gotta
request for an
find a
extension
thing.
form in there. Time of action.
Real quick. What is last?
Huh?
So that
I
this
think
guy
I do.
doesn't have to
Extension
wait.
form, just like you said. Thank you.
There you go.
Okay,
And
hold on one second. Real quick, Ed, what do you got?
Put us last so that this poor person doesn't have to wait.
Well, we won't
It's a
know.
pick of the draw. We don't know what the, okay.
Why you put us in the middle? You know what's it was gonna go 2 hours.
Ed, we're doing the best we can. Thank you.
go.
Thank you. Okay, so we have a motion. Oh,
we gotta
sorry.
do the extension.
How many times am I gonna do that?
That's good. So,
Worry about it. Let him fill out the form first.
So first is the extension.
yes.
I
I just don't want to lose Christine either, so,
No.
you know, we can't have it at a
makes sense.
meeting that she's not going to be here.
Yeah.
She's-
Right.
She's telling you she is not going to be here.
Okay.
But we can,
So if I'm hearing correctly, then should August 11th,
8.
forgive me,
eighth.
August 8th, my
Yeah,
apologies.
because the first is the first Monday of the month of August, so.
We can't lose anybody else. We've only
Right.
got 6 now.
All right,
So, are we going to do the first meeting in August? Is that what we're doing?
sure.
So Matt's
To
right.
continue to August 8th at 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. I'll make that a motion.
Okay. Motion to
Continue.
continue our meeting to August 8th at 7 o'clock.
Continue your public hearing.
Continue the public hearing
7:05.
to 7:05 on August 8th.
And
Nope, the
No,
beginning.
it's a continued public hearing, don't forget. So,
now can we address what I'm looking for or not?
Well, there's a motion. Do we have a second?
Okay,
Okay.
sorry.
Motion made by Jeff, seconded by Matthew.
Yep.
Any more discussion? No? Call for a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Abstain. Carried with one abstention. Okay.
Will the lady be
And if I may, so
be
the,
here.
I'll be here.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
That's the reason why we pushed it out, because she couldn't be here at the end of July, so.
So is there also a vote to extend the action date to August
Yes.
22nd?
Yeah,
Yep.
I'll make that a motion.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'll make that a motion.
and I'll second it.
And we second it. Okay, so the motion is to accept the extension.
Motion to accept the extension provided by the proponent,
Yeah.
made by Jeff,
Seconded by Rich.
seconded by Rich. Any discussion?
No.
All those in favor say aye.
I vote aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Carried with one abstention. All right, do we want to,
Very close.
do we, I don't know, do we want to close the public hearing? Close the, public hearing.
But we have two more
I
things
know, I'm
to
going
do,
to
right?
continue, yeah. I wanted to address, we're going to address the conditions, what I'm looking for or not? or-
Well, we can still close the public hearing.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Huh?
I don't think that's a good idea.
Are you expecting more information?
Procedurally, I don't think that's a good idea. If our decision is appealed one way or the other, I don't think that's a good
Yeah,
idea.
So we should continue it.
You agree?
Continue the public
Okay.
hearing.
Do agree.
Yeah, I think we should continue it.
We should continue the public hearing.
You already did.
I think that's what we
We
did. I
ostensibly
thought we
having a
did.
meeting in August
no,
to
we-
talk about proposed conditions.
Yes.
Then the public should be here.
That's
and
right,
the
to hear
public
it.
should have comment.
Okay, all right.
Agreed.
Did we
Yeah.
already vote on that to continue the
we
public
did.
hearing?
You
That's
did
what we
that first.
Yeah, we did.
What am I even talking for then?
Yeah.
I got you back.
We closed this one, we closed
Okay,
this one, yeah. Thanks, Mark.
Can I offer,
Yes.
offer some guidance on what you may like to,
All right.
what you may be able to bring to help the discussions at the next meeting?
Yes, so from my one board member's opinion, I'm still looking for the same things, and I know you can't, I know that you cannot promise me a stop sign on that left-hand turn. And I guess I'm looking for more than what you're saying, and I don't have a dollar figure for what kind of road improvements need done to Old Millbury Road, to Old Worcester Road, and surrounding roads. I don't have a dollar figure on that. I don't know how to go about getting that dollar figure, but I think it's important that a company this side that's going to be using this many vehicles in this town of Oxford and using these roads, there's going to have to be some road improvements or fund towards that, okay?
Another
just
thing
me.
is the,
Yeah. Go ahead.
I know I don't have a vote, but
You can-
the consideration of the restriction of our overnight
The
use of
hours.
the docks.
We did offer something.
Yeah,
For the
those-
east side.
those-
But
those-
I
Yeah,
I heard a
I'm
few
fine.
concerns about, the 5 hours
Right.
maybe not being sufficient.
We can certainly look at
We
that.
can talk about that.
Right,
Yeah.
and I also want more of a clarification on these shifts, whether it's 2 12-hour shifts or I know, I know.
Here's
you don't
here's
have, I know,
the
I know.
here's the beauty of it. Here's the beauty of it. Our septic calculations, our trip generation is based on employees, right? whether it's 2 shifts or 3 shifts or 9 shifts, we're capped at a number of employees. So if the anticipated use of this facility is different than that, it would require us to revisit all of our approvals. Septic, Board of Health, DOT, Planning Board. So I think there's less concern about perhaps that makes the board feel a little bit better that if this operation is more than 600 employees, whether it's 2 shifts or 3 shifts, we're gonna have to come back and see you.
So if I may, we've continued this to date and time certain. I believe I have enough guidance from the board, as was discussed already in this meeting, to come back with additional draft conditions. My concern is I don't want.
Yeah, think.
I don't want to come on.
Think
either.
about
I don't-
pre-occupancy
Yeah.
hurdles to meet
Certainly.
on your
yeah.
conditions.
Certainly.
Okay?
All right, let's move on. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you soon.
All right, now, oh, I could check that one off. That was easy. Thank you. Thank you. Next item is a continued public hearing for 46, 48, and 50 Harwood Street. Application for special permit, land disturbance permit, applicant and owner DJ Enterprises, Inc., common driveway to serve 3 lots. Excuse me, action date September 11th, 2022. Tony, I think you have news on that, right? We don't have.
So we don't have the peer reviews report yet.
Okay.
So would request that we continue to another meeting date and time certain by the board. We've discussed the calendar already. The upcoming dates we have of July 11th and July 25th.
Yeah, we have anything on the 11th? We accepted a submission, I think,
Yeah.
last time. I just want to make sure, Tony,
Yeah.
that we, at least you make it to 7:15.
Yeah, yeah. Why don't we put it at 7:15 for Jack? I'll make a
All right.
motion to be
Certainly.
A motion by Jeff to continue, what?
to
Is your
July
name
11th at 7:15.
Yeah, that's it.
Motion by Jeff
And
to
I'll
continue
second.
to July 11th at 7:15.
And I'll second it.
Seconded by Rich. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
I vote aye.
Aye.
Yes, sir. Did I?
These guys aren't gonna be here before us, right?
Then no, that we put them on the
they're
20.
gone.
They're gone.
They're on the,
If you want, though, we can move it up in front of you guys. Okay,
So
awesome.
which one was for that? I'm sorry.
And
That was 46, 48, and 50 Harwood. Okay,
Okay.
next item, minutes for June 13th.
I make a motion that we accept the minutes.
I'll second that.
Motion
June
by
13th.
Motion by Rich to accept the minutes, seconded by Jeff. Any discussion? There being none. Call for a vote. Aye.
Aye.
Carried unanimously. Everybody was here, right? Right. History Estates endorsement of definitive plan. Do we have the Mylars?
Yes, and I knew the hour would potentially be late, so our packet for History Estates information is in yellow tonight. Mr. Chairman, you do have the Mylar beside you. So the applicant, who is here as well, provided them prior to the meeting. I did have a chance to review. Under the approval, there was a series of requirements prior to endorsement to be fulfilled, shown on the Mylar, and I can verify that all those were included.
Excellent.
Signature of the Mylar would require a majority of the board, or if past practice is to have one member sign. Defer to the board as you see fit.
We used to all sign it.
However you see fit.
Yeah.
And I will note that under the subdivision rules and regs, the requirements for the definitive have been met. We have a copy of the deed, a certificate of title as well that was provided for the record. So, and the applicant has provided us with the copies of the orders of condition, which is shown on the plan and is filed and recorded, and they record the release of covenant
Okay.
and the traditional covenant and the roadway maintenance agreement as well. So I do believe everything's in good order thus far.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I'll make that a motion.
Motion by Jeff to endorse the definitive plans.
Yeah.
Second.
After,
Af-
let's put it
after-
after the rest of the formal meeting is done.
After
After the rest of the formal meeting.
Yeah,
Seconded by Roger?
Yeah. And we
Any
all have to
discussion?
sign it.
All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Carried unanimously. So we'll sign those after the meeting. You don't mind waiting, right? Okay, next up, Kathy's Way. Next up, Kathy's Way, endorsement of performance security and acceptance of inspection fee deposit.
Good evening, I hope you're all getting overtime for this.
No, pays the same whether it's a half an hour or 4 hours, doesn't matter.
I talked to Tony, we're all getting double time.
First time, nothing. This is just a sample of what the town
I
has
got it.
required for a bond. Sorry, my fingers aren't working.
Okay.
See that town meeting in Maine that went for 3 days? 3 days.
Keep it up.
I do apologize, I ran out.
That's
I
okay.
got,
Me
no, I
and
got,
Mark
there you
can-
go. I got two. I don't need two.
10 of them.
I don't need two.
Me and Mark can share.
So that is the bond that Tony gave you, the bond sample. What the performance bond that has to be filled out by the bonding company. And I know that you had some questions about the bonds, Mr. Swillis. I think you were around when there was Canarelli and Carlson and all the rest of the.
Yeah. We've been burned multiple times by
Bonds.
Let me just
fine.
explain. I went through a 4-week process with the bonding company. They know more about me than my wife does and my finances.
I'm sure they probably should, and they do.
And they do, but I want you to understand that this is a 100-year-old company, this is not an online
That's fine.
bonding
Yeah,
company.
yeah.
That's fine, and what I requested from Tony was to run it through town council as soon as you get the document,
Yep.
so that they verify that for us too.
Right.
Okay, what
Okay.
document are you referring to?
This.
That.
Yeah, this.
That is the town's document.
So we have received this just now. Mr. Allen did provide a copy of a bond that had different language.
It was one that was given to me.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Certainly. And per council as practice, this is the performance bond, our standard performance bond. So Mr. Allen's just provided this
You just got it.
just now to us. So I don't see any wording here that would be of conflict, because this was reviewed
No,
by
I didn't see
by
the
bond
performance
counsel.
company that's establishing the bond. I guess I don't understand it then.
Yeah, it doesn't say which company it
Yeah,
is, right?
it
It's just, it has your name on it. It has your wife's name on it. It doesn't say.
It doesn't have the company that you're saying is 100-year-old and well-established. It doesn't have any of
Something
that.
to put it on right now.
Okay, well,
But they need to sign it, too.
they need to sign it.
First of all, I wanted to find out if this is all that I need.
Sufficient, yeah.
That's all.
If Tony says, but this is just, it's a sample copy, but we don't know the company or anything like that, and nothing's signed.
No, and
This
as
is
I mentioned, Mr. Allen last week did share a copy of a bond.
Right.
I did share it with council, but it was not in proper format for the planning board. It doesn't have reference to the MGL and all the protections from there. And so, to everyone's point, would need to see formally execute. So this is the correct sample form with the additional information and final signature of bond.
And then give it to town council. If they're okay with it, we'll approve it at our next meeting, obviously,
Yeah.
at this point.
Easy enough.
And then my other request would be to, just so it's not lost and it's on the agenda too, that when this does get executed, that there also be those inspection fee.
That's right.
That's
Check
the
for the inspection,
$3,000?
the 3,000, yes.
I have the
So
check
we
here.
have that.
You said to bring the check tonight.
Yes, we'd be happy to
Town boxes, right?
to accept that.
Okay, so we don't need to make any motions here.
No,
No,
he's
we're,
got-
we're addressing it as a.
So,
as the
Mr.
idea.
Allen,
Make
you're
sure
all
the right
set, you know what you need
copy
to
and
do?
Stuff like that. and,
Yes,
yeah.
I need to come back with this form filled out by the
That's
bond
good,
company
Mark.
with whatever
Yep.
information they can provide.
Yep.
about their bona fides.
Signed by the bond company and
it's
blah,
10
blah, blah.
o'clock.
That's good, Mark.
All bets are off at this point.
I know.
All right,
Yep.
So,
Sorry.
this way the record will show.
Okay.
We have,
Yep.
everything's in
Okay.
good order.
Can I get on the meeting before the end of the meeting, next meeting?
July 10th?
This should go pretty quick, I would
Oh,
think.
yeah,
huh?
wouldn't
Yeah,
that-
this-
Yeah.
we do this
That,
next
that
time.
other meeting is extended till August, so the next two meetings are gonna go
This
phew,
should go
fast.
fast. Say that now, yeah.
I know.
So do we need a motion to?
Huh?
July 11th.
What did I say?
No, okay.
Did I
July
say January 10th?
July 10th. No motion's required,
Motion, no,
but once when
fine.
it's ready,
Put
I'll
it on- Put it on for July 10th, oh, yeah.
Yeah, as an action
on
item,
there,
just
but-
like tonight it
yeah.
was too.
Right.
Okay, why don't,
It's July 11, actually.
Okay,
okay, since there's nothing there, let's skip old business.
we got a submission now.
And new business, submission 9 Town Forest Road, application for site plan review, land disturbance permit.
Absolutely.
New submission. Good, I don't want them to know my name.
They won't pick on you then.
Anyone here for that?
Good night, sir.
Applicant and owner Cummins Wagner Seaward LLC, minor. All right. Is this the one that we've already talked about?
I don't think so.
No, that's another one.
It's another one, yes.
Okay, is this, Tony, is the submission complete?
Yes, and the file is, I believe we have it organized under new items.
Yeah,
Bear with me 1 second.
I got it.
This whole thing?
Yeah. Yes. Look, yeah.
McClure, yeah.
Oh, good, a nice easy one.
Yeah, just check to see.
So,
no,
Tony, you say everything has
there's
been submitted.
It's just, this is a little technicality, there's like a $39 balance that they owe on the taxes.
Uh-oh.
Just a small balance of, if I'm reading that correct.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And
That's
that,
usually that's a red flag for us not to do anything because they're not current. Usually, I mean, just.
I'm fine with holding off on it until they pay it.
I
Yeah.
agree, 'cause I
Let
don't
us-
think.
Okay.
No, I mean,
that's,
Because if you can't.
You know what,
if you
they're
can't-
asking for minor site plan approval, just, we'll put as a condition after they pay their $37
Okay.
taxes.
Because if you let it go on this one, then,
Okay.
right?
First thing that I would.
no disagreement.
I know, I do too.
Okay.
all right, so,
What we do.
is there a motion,
Humiliating condition, too.
is there a motion to accept this
I
submission?
entertain a motion that we accept the submission for 9 Town Forest Road for an application for site plan review and land disturbance permit. And,
Before they come before us, that they have to be current.
and that we approve this as a plan that requires minor site plan review. In other words, not much is happening on the site, it's already exists. But prior to any acceptance of this minor site plan review, they pay their balance of $39 taxes.
So you're not approving it, you're just accepting the submission?
And requesting that we approve it as minor site
Well,
plan
why don't we
review.
wait on the approval till they pay?
Well, we're putting a condition that would.
Make it a condition.
Because they
Put in a
expect to
condition,
start
yeah.
work on
We'll
it
put in a
tomorrow.
condition, yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
so we have to do one, we
You can do it
we
all
can do
at
them
once.
both?
Because we can do it all.
We can
at once.
condition it on that.
Motion to accept the submission and approve based on minor
Minor
site site plan review application made by
Through all departments.
Rich,
I'll second it.
seconded by Jeff. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Carried unanimously. Excellent.
Yeah, they pay their $39 and you hand it to the building permit.
It's less than the
building
filing fee.
inspector. Go.
It's less than the filing fee.
All right, next up, planning director's report.
Just real brief, and actually, as a reminder, so our next meeting is July 11th. And after that, I don't see anything on the calendar for the 25th at this time.
That's so disappointing.
So,
Well, that's fine.
but-
If nothing comes up, we've skipped meetings
Well,
before. when there's
Is this,
nothing on there.
but one of the things about bringing up other businessmen and stuff, is it okay if we put, like, to rediscuss the Depot Road thing or not? Or, no? we can't
no,
do-
because
okay.
of the
For the public hearing,
continuation of the public
okay,
hearing.
that's all, I
Yeah.
just,
Anybody, anything else? I actually can't ask that, can I? Anybody want to make a
I'd
motion?
like to make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Chris, seconded by Roger. Roger, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Yeah, but he's
Aye.
just
Oh,
waiting
no,
for
we
us
have
to
to
sign the
sign-
plans.
Have,
Oh,
We're gonna sign the plan. We don't have to be in.
No.
Yeah.
We can be all done in.
Happy 4th of July.
Yeah,
Thank you.
You too,
All right,
Tony.
be well.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, John.